Hello, world, and welcome. Not welcome back, but just welcome for the first time ever to our new campaign.
Woo!
Yes, it's very exciting, and we're going to be doing actual playing. We're going to jump in and play, but at the same time, we're going to be figuring out what the hell this world is. It's a whole new world. This isn't Drakengrim. This isn't Ikoria. It's a new one entitled MIRRORMOURN. And I'm calling the campaign that as well, because why not? So we're going to be playing D&D, but at the same time trying to understand who these characters are, develop details in the world. We'll probably be improvising a lot of stuff. And yeah, I'm really excited to see what happens. This should be a different tone, but at the same time, familiar. It's going to be good old D&D. All right, so who are your characters? Should we go like in opposite alphabetical order?
Different for this.
You're gonna mess us up, Esper, like that?
You're saying you go in mirrored alphabetical order?
Yeah, it's mirrored. It's All right, so we're gonna go Warsor, Vince, Nick, Adam. How about that?
We remember the regular order. It should work out fairly well, I think.
All right.
Hey guys.
Level 1. We got brand new adventurers.
Indeed. Hi guys, I'm Warsor, and I'll be playing Dimico, a Firbolg monk. And in this world, Firbolgs are a race of elves that have been hybrided with the giant race, kind of. Yeah. And Esper will go into that more later. I just wanted to provide that a little bit. And you'll learn more about him later. I'll just kind of leave it a little bit to see.
I'm Vince, and I am playing Vapor, who I believe for basics is still pretty much the same lore. How they come to be, and I will be a Genasi, wild magic sorcerer.
Hello, I am playing Elluin, who is a level 1 fighter Aasimar, which is gonna be fun. I'm actually I'm technically an elf Aasimar, so I'm like the only like, I guess, like pure-blooded one here technically. Like everyone else is like you dirty half-breeds, and if we're talking about Harry Potter.
Well, I'm Adam with the A name, and in the mirror alphabet that comes last. And I will be playing another elven-derived descendant species, a Hobgoblin, who is an Artificer by the name of Aygir.
May sense a pattern here. Esper, want to tell them what?
I am Esper, and I am your dungeon master, who I'm going to be going very, very easy on these guys. There's not going to be any level 1 character deaths. Your level 1 characters are not going to feel fragile and wet behind the ears. No, you're going to be coming out of the gates rocking. Don't worry, it's all going to be fine.
The lies of the Jedi.
So in MIRRORMOURN, the races are being treated a little differently than what you're used to in standard D&D or even in standard fantasy, and you'll see that as we go along. But let's see, Elluin and Vapor are elves. In the world, they're elves. Behind the scene, on the character sheet, mechanically, Elluin is an Aasimar and Vapor is a Genasi.
Oh, Esper, I forgot. I was
world,
hoping I could actually change that to him being human, if that was okay. To make
You
it
could be a human, yes, if you want.
Yeah.
So a human in
even more exotic
is not a pure-blooded race, actually. A human is essentially a bastard mongrel child of an elf and a dwarf. It's a very elf-centric world, and again, you're going to see things as we go. And then, as Dimico and Aygir said, they have a mixture, amalgam of elf plus other things in their ancestry that has made Firbolg and Hobgoblin.
We need to think of like some kind of like in lore, like insult, like in Harry Potter you have like mudbloods and like half-bloods. Like we need to think of
those will just come naturally through the roleplay, I'm sure.
I've got a bunch of world building that I've been working on, but instead of just info dumping everything on you guys and starting off with a bunch of boring exposition, let's just freaking play. So
let's do it.
We are going to start with a scene featuring you, Elluin. Elluin of House Drakestone. You are in your home city of Barnacle. Barnacle is a city that is built into and upon and partially clinging onto the ruins of a giant castle. Barnacle is a port city. It is in an island. It's in an island realm called Haven Isle. There's two main cities in Haven Isle. Barnacle's one. So imagine a big giant castle with towers and ramparts, but it's partially ruined. There was a war, and elves and giants fought against one another, and the elves eventually won this siege of Haven Isle. Actually, back then it wasn't called Haven Isle; it was called Eyaberg. That was the giant's name for it. So, elven settlement has been built into the ruins of this castle and on the outskirts of the castle, and there's like a ruined, crumbled part, and there are some strange, interesting districts all about Barnacle here. So at the moment, we are in a place known as the Cairn Yard. And the Cairn Yard is a cemetery just outside of a location where your noble house dwells. Your noble house is, let's see,
Drakestone?
Storm Tower, Long Keep. There we go. Long Keep. Actually, like the keep proper of the giant castle, that is where your noble house dwells. And your let's see, great uncle is the Duke of Barnacle, Duke Ormond Drakestone. So he's like part of the authority. There's actually a duarchy here, right? So we've got House Drakestone is like one half of the authority, and then the other half is the Merocrats. They're a different political authority. I said we were going to do a bunch of exposition, and here I'm going. Okay,
so you're forgiven. This is session 1
going on here. Okay,
this is session 1. It's forgiven.
Imagine a cemetery, though this is not a cemetery that you would normally think of with grass and dug graves. The graves here are actually stacked up stone cairns. And those that were of poor standings and not well-to-do, they wouldn't even really have their own cairn. There would be like these mass common cairns. But no, not for your family. Today is a day of mourning the loss of an important figure, of your own brother, in fact.
Oh.
That's right, Elluin. Your brother, Rourke, is dead. Rourke was a squire and a promising to be knight. And for many years, he had squired Penn Drakestone. Penn Drakestone is a knight of much renown. He's 60-some years old, so he's been around for a while. And he's, considered by many the greatest knight of Barnacle. And your brother, Rourke, was his squire for many years. Rourke was your older brother, and he's dead now. He fell victim to a killer known as the Night Stalker.
The Night Stalker.
Night Stalker has been killing people in Barnacle for a number of months now, and your brother is the 5th victim that the Night Stalker has claimed. And you are with your family, all in formal dress. You yourself are like an apprentice squire, a promising one, and you've polished your. Will you tell us what does Elluin look like?
Oh boy, you're dropping it right on me. Okay, yeah, I guess I'd probably have like very polished armor, especially since this is a formal occasion. I probably have some sort of like cape with my house crest on it. Just making myself look as good as I can, for my brother's funeral. I have golden eyes, and I have sort of this long kind of whitish blonde hair, and he's quite beautiful. Obviously, it's part of like the Aasimar thing. I'm sure that he was not as beautiful, and then when he became that, he sort of gained some beauty from that. But yeah, just a very beautiful knight to be, I suppose.
And along with you are, all the members of House Drakestone and your retainers. And you are really close. You're standing very close to your mother, Demelza Drakestone. She is the niece of Duke Orman. And your mother is, I'm not going to say a black sheep of the family, but she's a little different. Like, she had issues with her prior husband, and they actually had a split. And then she gave birth to a human, and that was sired by the dwarf Adelhart, who was one of the slaves or one of the servants of your house. In Barnacle, dwarves typically are servants or slaves. They were a slave race under the giants. When the elves won the siege of Aeberg, they claimed the dwarves, and the dwarves still fulfill a pretty similar function, and they always work down in the lower places. So you're there. So you've got this half-brother, Marwyn. Marwyn is your half-brother. He's about 7 years younger than you, so like 15 years old. He's nearby, and he has a friend who you've gotten to know just a little bit. And Vince, tell us about Vapor.
Vapor has human ancestry, so he's definitely an outcast for being that. But then add in his mixed blood of having a Djinn or a genie for a father makes him even a further outcast. So he grew up mostly away from the major cities in a little area known as the Steam Curtain, with many other Genasi and whoever their
region of Haven Isle.
Haven Isle,
yeah,
away from the main elven settlements of sorts, or the main hub elven settlements. He has the paler skin with several like air-looking tattoos going up and down his arms. Sorry, I gotta grab the picture I used for him exactly. Oh, come on, open up.
Smoky colored hair.
Yeah, more of a smoky color.
Hair.
No, it's shorter. He does have a bandana going over his right eye, as it is missing from a accident when working in his mother's alchemy shop.
Mm-hmm. A cloudy coloration to his skin, his eyes, hair.
Yeah, so he looks almost like a white cloud sometimes from a distance, but up close you can definitely tell he has the human ancestry in his blood.
So you've gotten to know Marwyn, who is again this human who's a half brother of Elluin, and so you're here in attendance at the funeral. Do you also wear like armaments?
No, he's wearing more of a what he would clarify as his best clothing for the funeral. Not wanting to stand out too much, even though he is already standing out, because compared to everybody else, his clothing is not that great.
Here and there, you'll get a dirty look or a smug glance from these other elven nobility, royalty even. You and the half-brother of Elluin, and just Elluin's branch of the family, are seen as, the weird ones of House Drakestone. That said, I mean, your brother was the squire of Penn Drakestone. So, and you are like kind of have always been in his shadow and following in his footsteps. Maybe you have your own ideas about that, but you as well have been trained to one day be a knight yourself. And
yeah, I could definitely see Elluin sort of trying to be as good as his brother, right? Like because he is a fighter, right? Like in terms of class, so like he definitely probably always asked his brother, like, hey, like show me this, when he was younger, like show me how to use the blade, show me how to shoot an arrow, things like that. But
now Rourke has passed in a violent manner and was ripped from you all and from this life very suddenly and shockingly. He was actually killed in the Long Keep, right at home at night. And there is much ritual and affair here at the funeral. And there is a priest, a tall elven fellow. It's almost all elves here in Barnacle. And he has this driftwood thing that his hair is knotted and wrapped into, and then it comes down both sides, falling really long, almost going all the way down to the ground. He wears this long priestly tabard of shiny silk, and he's been offering up many prayers to the Cairn Father. The Cairn Father would be a little local god of the Cairn Yard. May the Cairn Father, Lord of all mysteries, mercies, and consolations, be with you. And the congregation, drones in response, as we are with him. He takes a phial of blessed seawater from an acolyte, sprinkles it over the corpse of your brother, who is laying in his finest regalia and breastplate and sword there within a half-completed stone stack. The holy water is placed over the corpse, and incense, a pungent incense, is offered up. Eternal rest grant unto Rourke of House Drakestone, O eternal keeper. Let perpetual slumber be upon him. In his knighting, Rourke received the dubbing of Duke Ormond. May he now find everlasting victory over death, as the spirit of this exalted squire journeys to the beyond. And there are many sniffles and tears streaming, and people, dabbing their noses with silken handkerchiefs, everyone in their finery and their garb of mourning. And the funeral proceeds on for some time. And then when the time has come, you are called up with others of your house, and there's cousins of yours. Many of them are older than you, and you each bear one cairn stone, which is a longer flattened stone, and you each, one by one, place a stone, adding up, covering over the body and creating this stack here. And the incense censer is placed on one of the stone facets. And as the stones are being placed on, you can hear the mourning and the crying and the sobbing begin to increase. And even Duke Ormond himself, his eyes are glistening, though he tries to stand there stoically. This passes. The ritual passes, and afterwards your family is gathered about the cairn site, and the priest has shuffled off, and your mother is speaking to you. Elluin, are you all right?
I'd probably have cried a bit as well, sort of wipe some of the tears off, said, yes, Mother, I think I'll be all right. I never thought that I'd see the day that my brother would die. Didn't think I'd ever see him like this. He was always such a strong warrior. I always looked up to him.
It only seemed real just now. When you laid the stone upon the stack, that is when it finally sunk into me. And she tries to hold it together, and she embraces you.
Yeah, I'll hold her tight.
Marwyn as well puts a hand on her. Vapor, you're standing there nearby. I don't know if you are of a affectionate sort, but the elven embrace is shared by the mother whose son has been ripped from her.
No, he would have let the family have their moment.
Mm-hmm.
I will, as I'm holding my mother, I'll sort of speak to her, say, we must stay strong. He would have wanted us to stay strong. And we will find who did this.
Your brother's was always the one that had the most good sense about him. He had a sharp head upon his shoulders, sharp as his sword. And they're speaking now of vengeance, of finding this this dastard Night Stalker. Maybe we've been going about things wrong, son. I don't know. We've had our share of misdeeds. I won't deny that. I just feel so lost now. He was my compass that guided me through all the storms.
I know exactly how you feel, Mother. He was everything to me as well. If there was anything I could do to bring him back, I would, but don't worry, I will try my best to be as close to him as I can for you, for us, for Marwyn, for everyone.
She glances across the Cairn Yard, and you see your father, from whom she separated some time back. And it's your mother who's actually of the, blood descendant from the Duke. Like, that's her side of the family. Your father would have come from a different noble family that is, in league with House Drakestone.
Gotcha.
So he's in attendance at the funeral. It is his son, his eldest son, who's passed away after all. Your father's here. Have you spoken with him?
Before I answer, I'm curious. So is the relationship with the father and the mother, is it like kind of on bad terms? Or
yes.
Is it, okay, so we're on
yes.
bad terms. Okay.
Yeah, she hasn't spoken with him yet, but you sense something in her with the passage of your brother and with the funeral, that there's a tinge of regret in her voice for the decisions she made. Maybe she questions having divorced herself of him, and the affair with the dwarf that resulted in the birth of your half brother Marwyn.
Do I know the reason for their divorce, for their splitting up?
Mm-hmm. She
like, was it because of like she didn't love him? Was it a different ideologies? Like what was going on?
She has never quite seen eye to eye with the Duke and many members of House Drakestone, of your house, right? Your house is very, very prideful,
yeah,
and very proud, and really looks out for itself. And it's been kind of pounded into your head from the day you were born that the first priority is House Drakestone.
Yeah,
like that comes before everything else. And you have to take care of the house first, the wealth and the glory and the power and all, like, to us foremost. We are the house that led the siege against Aygir. We claimed this island. We defeated the giants. We were instrumental in the creation of the gnomes that even helped the elves, allowed the elves to find their victory. We spared the dwarves from the giant tyrants, even though they just kind of
you enslaved them again. Yeah,
they took over the administration. They like to think of it, but it is true. Drakestone is the vanguard that defeated the giants here.
It seems
the giants were no friendly folk. Let me tell you that. As much as the dwarves still are a slave type race, they did
the elves, the riders of the after they won the war,
did actually suffer much worse under the giants, horrendously so.
So if I'm getting
just to kind of drop this in real quick, there's 3 elder races in the world of MIRRORMOURN: giants, elves, and dwarves. Like, those are the original ones. A lot of other races flow from them by selective breeding and some magic rituals, but we can get into more of that later. So what are we talking about? We're talking about your father and your mother. Okay, so your mother actually has never quite seen eye to eye with these tenets of House Drakestone. Drakestone thinks we are the foundation, and we have to take care of ourselves first and foremost, because we are the rock upon which all of the society here rests.
And she's
if we crumble, all of Haven Isle is going to crumble.
And she's kind of like a dissident.
And she doesn't believe that so much. She thinks things have changed.
Okay.
This was generations ago, many generations ago, that the elves won the battle here at this island. And the newer generations live in a different world now. And we have to change some of our perspectives and our ideas and our policy.
So
it's really politics that drove a wedge between your mother and the father. I mean, they had some other issues that were, grudgingly boiling up, but the political thing really is what separated them.
So if I get it right, it seems like my mother is more in the line of like, it shouldn't just be Drakestone. Like we should look out for more. And like, it seems that her thing with Addie,
the night that your mother stormed out, your father said, "Why don't you just go join the bloody merocrats?" Which was a pretty heavy and insulting thing to say. And that was like that's their final argument before she separated herself from him.
When she had my half brother, was that an act of passion, or was it actual love, or do I not know?
You're not 100% sure. But she had always been affectionate with Edelhard.
Gotcha. Okay. Well,
Edelhard is like a stocky dwarven fellow. Oh, they're all stocky. He's a wrestler. He's a wrestler and a builder for House Drakestone and Eberhard. Yes, Eberhard. And he's also notably younger than your mother. He's like 12 years younger than your mother. So there was obviously passion in there. Was there something more? I mean, elves and dwarves don't get married. Like,
yeah.
I mean, maybe somewhere in some corner it's happened, but like that doesn't happen in Barnacle. You just don't do that. It's like, it's just not, it doesn't fit in with the social framework.
Gotcha. All right.
So,
I suppose when she asked,
that was a situation, that whole affair. And even to this day, Drakestone tries to keep that swept under the rug.
Yeah. Okay. I guess when she asked if I've spoken to my father, I would say, no, I haven't spoken to him yet. And well, the way he spoke to you when he left, I don't know if we should. Seems kind of.
I think you should.
All right. If you want me to, Mother, I will speak with him.
At least show him your respects.
I'll nod to her and say, very well. And I'll sort of like wipe any tears off of her face. And I'll look to Marwyn and I'll say, stay with your mother. I need to go speak with my father for a moment.
All right, brother.
All right. And I will go to speak with my father. What was his name again?
Merrick.
All right. I will walk up, and since it seems that just the way that he spoke to my mother, I feel like Elluin probably is not very liking of this man, and I will not call him father. I'll call him. I'll walk up and say, Merrick, I see that you decided to show yourself here.
He gives you an up-down glance and pauses before replying. You doubt that I would show up for my firstborn's funeral?
No, the things that you said to my mother when you left seems that you didn't really care much about us anymore.
I've said a number of things in my life that I'm not exactly proud of. Now is not the time to discuss that. Why do you dredge that up here and now?
I'll actually look down and say, perhaps you're right. I shouldn't bring up these things at Rourke's funeral like this.
Your father Merrick is holding out fairly stoically, but you can tell his eyes are pink and puffy and that he's been in mourning.
I'll sort of look up at him and say, I hate to admit it, but it is, I suppose, good to see you here. Good to know that you at least cared to come. Perhaps bygones can be bygones.
There will be a time and a place to speak of all this, but it is not here and now. I am going to mourn the passage of Rourke, and that I will be joining the force and tracking down the Night Stalker. And the justice that we bring to him will be threefold the hurts that he has put upon our family and all the others here in Barnacle.
I nod my head and I'll say, well, that's something we can agree upon. If you need my help with any of it, don't hesitate to ask. I wish to bring justice to the one who killed my brother as well. Justice must be seen, no matter the cost.
So, am I taking this to mean that you are setting your eyes towards actually fulfilling your duty? Pin will be needing a new squire, and you will be next in line.
I'll think on it and say, perhaps, but I had some other plans for my life, but if I'm able to do both, then I would gladly be a squire. I also, although I looked up to my brother, I also looked up to to Sir Pin. He was a great warrior, and I would love to learn from him if possible.
Well, tell him yourself. And you see there, not far from the freshly stacked cairn, is indeed Sir Pin Drakestone, who is nearby, some other high-ranking members of the house. He is an elf of 63 in a few years. He has long golden hair, which is tinged a bit in gray. He is wearing all of his full plate, polished, shining in the morning sun. He has a cape of this like royal magenta type color that, you know, is hanging proudly from his back. He's got a sword in the scabbard. His helmet is, you know, kind of cupped in his arm as he's speaking to others. Extremely well groomed. Just a really refined, gentlemanly. You've heard some like whispered talk about his slip ups and his misdeeds, but otherwise he presents himself very dashingly and very brave and competent. And I mean, he is that. So you've been trained as a squire, and you're actually very good at what you do. You've never actually squired, though. There have been a number of different opportunities and offers, and you've always managed to have some excuse that works good enough to get out of it. But it's like a valid excuse, like, oh, well, yeah, that's like not quite the right fit for me. Maybe that night isn't high profile enough. And
yeah, that's what I was thinking, because it seems like being a squire. Yeah, because it seems like being a squire sort of like constrains you to a specific position for your life, and I feel like Elluin kind of wants to explore the wider world eventually, and being a squire would sort of hold him down.
That's sort of what your father was just talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
You seems like he's never happy. Like he's never like he's always disappointed in you. Like you're never fulfilling your duties, and you've got too much of your mother in you, where she goes against the grain and has ideas and plans and dreams, but just kind of goes in a million directions at once and never actually picks one path and like binds herself to the structure of the house.
It seems like Rourke was more of what his father wanted.
Yes.
And then I'm more of what my mother wanted.
Yeah. Rourke was like the daddy's boy, and you were the mama's boy.
But yeah. All right. Well, I suppose I will walk over to Pin Drakestone. I don't know, is he by himself right now, or is he talking with other people?
He is talking with a few others. He's talking with the Duchess, Avon, and her daughter, Lady Kyla. So this would be the daughter of the Duke and Duchess. and he sees you approach, and he turns and pauses to greet you. Elluin,
So
my
Drake,
condolences for the passage of your brother. He actually puts a hand out on your shoulder, and it's a strong grip. He's got this gauntlet on, and so it's heavy, and it almost hurts how tightly he's gripping you. He was a fine squire. It tears at my heart to know that he has been taken away. But I will not rest until I see the Night Stalker caught and punished to the fullest extent of our powers.
I appreciate that, Sir Pen, and I appreciate you being here for my brother's funeral. I know that he was a great warrior, and I think much of that is to your credit. I'm sure that he looked up to you just as I looked up to him.
He did good by me. He made me proud. And what of you?
Well,
this brings into light a question that has been on many minds for a time. You seem good with a sword. Perhaps it's time that you put down the whimsy of youth and make good on an oath to squire for me. So you feel a tremendous pressure at the moment, because you've got Pin fucking Drakestone asking you to squire for him, and the Duchess is right there, and Lady Kyla as well, and they're done up in mourning and in black, but still like some of the highest profile women who are political figures and authorities, and they're elven beauties. Just to weave in another thing here, elves and MIRRORMOURN are not these like super long-lived things. They have normal lifespans. However, there are some elves that do live a long time. Usually they're elves that have magic or something special about them. But typically speaking, an elf will live 80, 90, something like that.
It's funny. I was just telling people about that in the chat.
So it seems like right now it's sort of like everyone is like watching this.
Weight.
Yeah.
It's like a weight just comes down, like a crushing weight almost.
Oh boy. Man, I'm just say no to this guy. All right. I will. Yeah, I'll definitely feel that weight, and like I feel as though Elluin probably, like that gauntlet weight that you were talking about, feels like just a feather due to all of this presence around me. I'm sure my father is watching too, and I'll look up because I'm sure he's taller than me. Actually, how tall is he?
Pin Drakestone is a very tall fellow. Actually, he's one of the largest elves like ever known of in Barnacle, and so he's standing there, over 6 feet tall, like 6.5 feet tall.
Oh wow, yeah. I'm only 5'7", so he's like much taller than me. Yeah. So I'll look up at him, and I'm trying to think. I think this would be a formal way of doing it. Yeah.
He's an old man, but he's in real good shape. I mean, he's been like this warrior, like hardcore training his whole life. He's got a little bit of crow's feet coming in, and probably not so spry as when he was younger. But you wouldn't want to mess with this guy. You wouldn't want to clash blades with him.
Yeah. Well, I'll look up into his eyes, and with determination, but a bit of fear as well, just due to the pressure, I'm going to say, Sir Drakestone, or Sir Pin, I don't know how I would say it. Sir Pin, it is such an honor that you would have me as your squire, and I'm sure that that's what Rourke would have wanted me to do as well. But I can't see myself just being situated in Barnacle for the rest of my life, and even if it is in the service of someone as great as yourself. Perhaps if you could wait for a year, perhaps two, just to give me a chance to see more than just Barnacle, to gain more experience. And then I'll sort of like bow my head, like immediately after I say that, I'm like gonna bow my head, yeah.
As you say this, I would like you to make a wisdom saving throw, and this is like you holding together your composure, attempting to.
I'm not good at this. Yeah, I'm probably
what kind of willpower? Internal.
First roll is a 13.
13. Okay, so you get out the statement and you kind of blubber and falter at a few points, and at the end you can't even look him in the eye anymore.
Yeah, I probably like put my head down, like looking down, like probably have my hands like clutched together, like probably pretty tightly.
He gives you a little clap, a pat like that, and he says, "Well, your brother was a fine squire and a fine man. I hope that he continues to inspire you. Once again, you have my deepest regrets for this loss of your kin."
With my head still down, I'm just going to be, yes, sir. I appreciate the kind words. Thank you.
The Duchess and Lady Kyla, having heard your little, I don't know if I'm going to call it an excuse, but your statement that you made in your presentation of lackluster confidence, they do not deign to even give you so much as a look. They just keep looking at each other and quietly chatting amongst themselves. They seem to just disregard you, as they've pretty much always done.
Yeah.
So I'm going to cut the scene here. Actually, I'm going to transition the scene. I think that's a perfect place to pause that at. You and Vapor are going to be meeting with a couple of people. You're going to be meeting with a friend and traveling companion of Vapor's, Aygir. And at the moment, Aygir, you have gone to meet with another as well. We're all kind of coming together now. So you have gone just beyond the city gate. There's actually 2 gates in Barnacle, so you've just gone outside of the port gate, and you go through Haven Port. And getting through and in and out of the gates is a bit of a process. Like, they want to know what you're bringing, what you're taking out, and what you're bringing back in, and it's a pretty busy trade port. And you go walking through Haven's Port, and there's a big fire galleon there that is anchored like way out at the longest of the piers. And these galleons are these huge things that sail the lava sea, and they have these like bound fire elementals as part of their substructure that continually keeps the lava melted and liquefied so they can propel themselves along. And they've got like dwarf clans that run the cogworks beneath that keep the whole thing running. And they're just these massive behemoths of iron and brass and such. And you get one of those is anchored, and there's a bunch of busyness going on at the wharf. And then there's like local ships and boats that sail the coastal waters. There's actual water around Haven Isle. And then once you go out many, many, many miles, there's like this natural obsidian barrier that rises up. And then beyond that is the Sea of Lava. Then beyond the Sea of Lava is a different kind of sea and other realms, but that's a tale for a different time. Yes, that's a tale for different waters. Time. So you pass by the busyness of the wharf, and you then pass by a neighborhood known as Klingstead, which, if you can imagine, like the side wall, like city wall that was built by giants, so it's really high, and then it goes like with cliffs that lead down to the water. But this wall actually has these giant barnacles on it. Or at least barnacle shells, and connecting them are walkways and bridges and platforms, and then it kind of wraps around the wall and goes back on the interior side of the city. and these giant barnacles are actually hollowed out, and they're like huts. So it's a poor neighborhood, and it's a bit of a precarious place to live, and that's generally where the poorest of the poor go to live, is in these kind of risky places. So you take a glance at that, and there's people coming and going and pushing and shoving, and you see like a crew of dwarves that are working with some cargo. You finally pass by the wharf and by Klingstead, and the noise starts to fade a bit, and you pass by some fishing boats and some people along the coast. It's a rocky coast, a slim pebbly beach, and then that eventually breaks down into a more sandy, and you get some vegetation and tufts of grasses, and then you come to the Tangle, and the Tangle is okay, so think of something like mangrove, but it's not actual mangrove trees. They're these tall fungal growths that look slightly like man-o-war type creatures, because they used to be. And from their cap tops, their tendrils come down like beaded curtains. So they used to be marine predator creatures, but at a point in their life cycle, they come up onto the shore, and this fungus in them takes over, and they stiffen, and so their stalks actually support them like trees, and they grow together kind of thick, and their tendrils hang down like these curtains, and they become a fungus at that point.
These are mycopods, right?
At this point, they're called mycopods. Yep. And then there are some other organisms that mix in with them, and the oldest of them petrify, and they become these, lithoform things. So it's sort of like a coastal woods or mangrove, but a fungus version. And there are a couple paths that lead through this, and one of the paths eventually comes to a small Firbolg community, and the Firbolgs actually make their homes, their huts, amongst the mycopods and out of the mycopods, and they use these. And there's some different varieties that they make usage of. And Dimico, would you be here in the actual village, or would you be off somewhere at your own place?
Dimico would not be in the village. I don't think he's comfortable, going into the place where there are people that look like him, but he doesn't feel like he's one of them.
So you pass through this village, which the Firbolgs refer to as Kindala, and they actually speak their own language. Elvish would be like the language of the land, but amongst themselves in their community, the Firbolgs would speak a dialect of giant, actually. So you hear that, and you see these creatures now, taller than elves, but still elven-like. They've got some elven-type features and elven ears, and they've got a connection with nature. But there's a shagginess to them that is not typical of pure elven blood, and their height and their size as well. These hearken to the traces, the amalgam of giant blood that goes way back in their ancestry. So you pass through Kindala, and you come to, where do you dwell, Dimico?
Dimico dwells in a wild place in the Tangle. I think he'd probably come out of the really wild place to the fringe of the civilized community to meet up with Elluin, assuming Aygir sent him a message. Yeah,
Aygir's the one who's coming.
Yeah, that's what I meant. I said Elluin, but I meant Aygir.
Okay,
yeah.
But eventually you will be meeting with Elluin as well. Yeah. You all do know each other. You're just not really close with Elluin. He's like, from the high castle. He's a townie. He from the high castle folk.
Yeah, probably what happens is Aygir comes out and just kind of stands there and lets himself be seen, and eventually, out of invisible predator cloak, I appear, because that's what Firbolgs can do, So I just kind of step out of a tree, and I say, Aygir, my friend, it is good to see you.
And with that, the definite odd one out in this community, a taller than an elf, though maybe not Firbolg sized, with slightly sharp teeth and pale but wind-burnt skin with stern features, a single forelock of hair, and currently wearing a used to be bright yellow, but now it's worn to more of a pale saffron-colored caftan with red velvet edges and blue glass sort of buttons down it. Turns and inclines his head, jingling faintly of metal scales, betraying a brigandine or some other coat of armor beneath, and says, Dimico. There you are. You're always doing this hiding thing.
It is good to watch and make sure that you are who you are before I approach.
I think I am who I am. And what of you? How does today find you?
Today finds me as it does. I am well.
Well, that's good.
You came here for a reason.
Yes.
And Dimico's speaking like a kind of a broken, like there's the dialect of giants and the dialect of elves. He can speak both, but it's not that he speaks wrong. He uses perfect English, if you will. It's more like he's not used to speaking. Like he doesn't get practice very often. So, yeah.
You know, would you prefer if I spoke your language? I do actually speak it, you know.
You speak, and then I start speaking. Do you speak Sylvan?
I thought you spoke a dialect of giant.
I do, but I also speak Sylvan. Okay. That's what I consider my language.
Oh, okay.
So I start speaking in this language that you don't understand, I presume?
Indeed.
So actually, Adam had asked me about a language to choose, and I was thinking maybe Dimico has been teaching you. So if you guys want to do that, go for it. Otherwise,
it could also be Sylvan instead of giant. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like Sylvan's the language that his foster parent would have raised him on, being where we are.
Okay, again, we're live world building as we play this, so let's figure this detail out. So here's one way we could do it. The Firbolg's tongue is giant. It's like their own dialect of giant.
Yeah.
But you, Dimico, someone taught you Sylvan, or you absorbed Sylvan from someone else growing up.
Correct. I think that's the native language that he was raised on, because he was not raised by Firbolg. Now, I think his parent is perfectly capable of teaching him the other languages.
Yeah.
Which is why he knows how to speak giant dialect and Elvish, exactly. Yeah. The other two languages.
Okay, so have you taught Aygir some Sylvan, or have you taught Aygir some giant? Or maybe Aygir knew giant already before?
I think Sylvan makes sense. Like, that would be what I think of as my fluent native language, you know?
So Adam, would you like Aygir to have giant as a secondary language, or Sylvan that you've learned from Dimico?
I think Sylvan makes the most sense in this case. So he speaks Goblin and Sylvan.
Nice.
And so, yeah, he switches from his sort of harsh consonant and sibilant sound tinged Hobgoblin accented Elvish to the trilling liquids and melodic vowels of Sylvan, and says, "So, is this a private matter?"
Is what private matter?
Oh, did you not wish to meet? I sent you a message.
There is a reason for the meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, there is a reason. There's a reason for the meeting.
Yeah,
Dimico, you and you have acquired something called Grove Sheen, and Aygir has told you that Elluin of House Drakestone is wanting to purchase the Grove Sheen. The details are unclear. So the idea is that you and Aygir are going to meet with Elluin and sell him this grove sheen. Grove sheen is a substance that is cultivated and refined by the Firbolgs.
Okay.
It's a powder. It comes actually from from a certain kind of mycopod, and it's a fine crystalline powder, and it is actually a smoking substance.
Elluin secretly wants to smoke it himself.
Dimico wouldn't really understand all the payment and why what it's for, but Aygir would help negotiate that, I guess. And
yeah, and Dimico, you know Elluin. You met him because Aygir has his friend Vapor, and Vapor knows Elluin, so he's someone that you're acquainted with him. You just don't know him very well.
Yes,
okay.
But Aygir and Vapor, you know decently.
You remember Elluin, the one sword head, and he mimes elf ears. The nice one, the nice sword head, the one who is not so haughty and
I can
disagreeable.
Aygir, I do not meet with very many elves. I remember all of them.
Sorry, that is right. You are of the forest folk.
I do prefer to live here where there aren't many people. But I have been looking to explore further. Perhaps this will give us an opportunity to discuss it.
Perhaps it shall. Although, do leave the matters of coins to me.
I have no interest in such.
So Dimico, you have the grove sheen, and it's a packet that is wrapped in it's kind of like a fungus cap thing, but it works like a pouch.
Really quick, just what Dimico has on him. He's actually wearing very little, but he has a spear that's been fashioned from like petrified myco, like it's the end stage material, the hard stuff. It's almost like it was grown into a spear rather than like shaved or man-made.
It's a petripod spear.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He has basically pants for modesty and a pack and probably some stones or something that represent the darts that I have. But yeah, he doesn't have a lot. He has the pack which he carries the sheen in. So yeah.
So the two of you have joined up, and Dimico, you've acquired the grove sheen. You probably helped produce it at some degree. Maybe you at least went out and harvested some of the base components. It comes from a rare type of mycopod, so it's a bit of it's difficult to acquire it. It's got value to it. I don't know if you've smoked it before. It's I don't know, sort of. I almost want to say that the tobacco of the Firbolgs. Maybe it's the effects are not very intense. For a first time smoker, it will be, but for someone who's been smoking it for a while, it's fine. It's a fungus smoke. What can I say?
Okay. So it's more akin to tobacco than to say weed.
Yeah, it's something like that. It's not a complete like wig out, go on a vision quest kind of thing.
It's not going to couch lock you and make you eat a bunch of Cheetos. It's what you take if you're an elf on the go and need a little pick me up in the middle of your day or the beginning of your day. Or the end of your day.
I like a rare fine hookah. Hashish. No, hookah.
This seems like the stuff that like the hobbits in Lord of the Rings would smoke, or like Gandalf with like their pipes, or like Merry and Pippin.
Like a very fine, expensive shisha.
We don't need to super think it over.
Yes.
Whoa, wait a second, Dimico. Like this is important. This is very important.
I think what is important, Dimico, is that as long as you are good with me handling all the matters of coin, I will ensure that they pay you enough of them. These sword heads are sometimes
I don't require a coin here, but as I said, we can discuss other matters once we have finalized your agreement.
Well, then I should make sure they pay me enough of them for brokering the deal.
So the two of you having joined up, Aygir, are you ready to lead Dimico to the transaction spot?
Yeah, he is. Although, I'm not entirely sure, but he might. Aygir has been in Barnacle for about a year now. He might be renting a place in Klingstead. That seems like the most logical place. He might want to just, take a glance at his particular Barnacle just to make sure all is well on their way.
So, to get to Klingstead, you do need to pass through the city gate. Technically, it's a neighborhood of Barnacle. Right. It's inside, but then it comes out wrapping around a high wall.
Right. Well, they need to go through the gate to get to where Elluin would be.
Fell out of Klingstead, you would land in the ocean or something. You'd be dead. But it has happened. I mean, people have fallen and died there.
Where did you set up the meeting, Aygir?
Although that's a good question. Out of character, I assume it's somewhere in the city, right?
Yes, it is. Okay. It is somewhere inside the city.
What would be the most logical place for a highborn elf to go when they want to disappear for a while and not be seen by their friends or family?
So there is a place called Strong Castle. It is actually the largest section of Barnacle. It used to be part of a giant castle complex. So think really high ceilings, wide corridors. The staircases and such have been reformatted for elves. But it was what used to have been maybe a giant's room now serves like a whole house for a family of elves. Right. And it's this big interior dwelling complex for elves of common folk, tradesfolk, and even some minor nobles are the high society of Strong Castle.
Well, yeah, it was basically like the main keep of Eyaburg, wasn't it?
Yes.
Makes sense. Well, yes. I set up a place for us to go within Strong Castle. It is off of the beaten path, to say.
My ears kind of twitch a little bit at that, but I just kind of nod. I'm like, very well. I have never been inside the city except, well, actually, I don't know. Esper,
I'm sure you've been in Barnacle many times. You think so? You probably don't frequent it.
Yeah, okay. In that case, changing what I'm saying. I don't enjoy going into the city, but I suppose it can't be avoided.
Well, it was either that or nowhere. This Elluin, he's one of the big fancy ones. He's not going to just meet any old place.
He seemed to have selected a place that's outside of his family's keep, and in just a common area where maybe you could blend into the crowd.
I'm very accommodating.
Go ahead and lead on then, Aygir, and we'll.
So the two of you return back through the port. You pass under the Klingstead up on the wall, and then it comes the port gate. And here is something that you really needed Aygir for. You get in line to enter the gate, and it's a slow-moving line, and you see an assortment of people entering. There's even people that aren't even from Haven Isle, and they've got different accents or maybe even different languages, and they've got their wheel carts and cargo, and they've got some different beasts of burden as well. There are Xenas, which are these four-legged kind of primordial mammal, like one step away from reptile mammal things. And they have these dark hides, but with stripes on them, light-colored stripes on them, and these long tails. And so you see a number of Xenas. You see a Rhinax, which is essentially this giant stag beetle thing, which it has to wear this special lock to where it can't actually clamp mandibles onto anybody at the moment. Now, normally you could use it for loading and unloading boxes, and they're really great for that. But when they start taking it to a place around a transactional space where people are coming and going, they put these binders on its mandibles. And
essentially a living forklift.
yeah.
Xena's, that's what I was trying to remember earlier. Yeah, Aygir's clothing is probably actually made from Xena like fur.
Okay.
And since it's like was once dyed vibrant colors, now it's a bit worn. It probably looks more and more striated, especially in the heavily sun bleached area.
I suppose also for the viewers, the Xena are essentially the horses of Mirrormourn, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like horses, zebras, quaggas, whatever you want.
Yeah, there we go. There we go.
This is a rough image of what a Xena looks like.
So you got like the Beetlejuice fur going on.
Oh, it is like Beetlejuice. Oh,
yeah.
You're just wearing like a suit.
This is a Rhinax. So you see one of these as well.
Every time I think of Xenas now,
you also see one of these things called a Nykus, which is a feathery dinosaur type creature, which gets utilized as a mount and also a trained fighting animal sometimes.
From now on, whenever I think of Xenas, I'm going to think of Beetlejuice being like ridden by like everybody. There's just like thousands of Beetlejuices everywhere, and like people just ride them like horses.
We come for your daughter. All right, so you wait your turn in line, and eventually you get up to the gate, and there's a number of guards there, and there's two that are right next to you, and one turns to you, and it's an elven guard. Like I said, almost all the locals are elves, and he's got this tall tower helm, and nearby there's another one who's got like a weapons rack with pole spikes and longbows. Are you entering with any goods, items of value, anything to declare?
All right, so now here's another little setting question. The carrying and wearing of swords inside the city, is it permitted?
Depends who you are.
If you are a hobgoblin, for example.
Elluin's allowed to have sword.
Yeah.
So, you yourself, being a hobgoblin, he says, "Show me your wrist." And he wants to see your right wrist.
All right, and Aygir complies.
Be careful with those. That's all he says in referring to your weapons. You have not been marked, but if you make trouble or you commit certain crimes, you'll get marked, and you lose these kinds of abilities.
Oh, when he says be careful with those, he puts his left hand, because it's slung on the left, though he would draw with his right, on the pommel of his cavalry saber or long sword, and says, "That I will. To declare, well, let's see,
Grove Sheen?
I was going to call it Glimmer Sheen. Grove Sheen, is it legal to have on your person?
Yes.
Or to sell? It's fully legal, right?
Yep. It is an expensive trade item, though.
I bear only some Grove Sheen, and my associate here, we mean to sell it legitimately at the market.
Grove Sheen. All right. Go over to him there, and he like points you to this other... there's another table nearby, and you go and you queue up behind a couple other people, and you wait again.
Why are we being made to wait?
This table here has an elf who actually has like some scales and some different like coin things and an abacus. He's an old one, and he seems to go very slowly. Finally, your turn comes.
This is just the process we must contend with.
But the city's right there. We could just go in.
We could, and then they would stop us, and they would.
What's all this blathering? Come, you're holding up the queue.
Forgive me. From here.
That's fine.
Yes. Yes.
He looks at this little slip. Grove sheen. Place it upon the scale. He licks his finger and like resets his abacus.
He'll take, I guess, the whole fungal cap container.
Bag. Yeah, I take the bag and I put it on there. Yeah.
Smells nice. Okay. And then he writes up a little piece of paper, signs it, puts a stamp on it. Here you are. And he hands you a taxation slip. And he's asking for a tax on your Grove Sheen. So now we get to talk a little bit about wealth ranks. I went through a bunch of different ideas and concepts and systems for wealth ranks, and I didn't like any of them. And so in the end, I said, here's what I'm going to do. It's going to be very simple and loose and abstracted. I'm just going to go by these kind of like different categories, going from wretched at the bottom all the way up to like legendary at the top. Okay. So Dimico, the monk who has a background of like a hermit, you have a very low wealth rank. You don't just have offhand the money to pay this tax.
Yeah.
Aygir, what kind of background do you have?
Aygir's background is archaeologist.
Archaeologist. Okay.
Pays well, doesn't that?
Better than being a hermit.
Sure.
Yeah, that's true.
So archaeologists will be fine. You can pay the tax. It's something that for Dimico or for a poor person, you just wouldn't have that kind of money. Right. You'd have to save up to even pay the tax. But for you, it's like, the equivalent of
you should use a mechanic
five gold pieces or something. Yep.
That's where you should totally use a mechanic where the ranks are represented by a die size, and then you roll the die size, and if you roll like the lowest, you go down a rank whenever you use
that makes sense. You spend kind of almost tying it into
the I want to do the supply dice for ammo as well.
All right.
I know that with like the wealth ranking. I don't know if it was D&D or another system where like you have like a wealth ranking, and if you buy something on your wealth rank, then you go down like 2 ranks, and if you buy something 1 below your wealth rank, you go down 1, or like, and then like if you buy something like super below your wealth rank, like you remain your wealth rank. It's very interesting.
I kind of concepted some things like that, and in the end, it's like I don't want complicated. I don't want stuff we have to like look up a bunch of charts, and I just want it to be able to go fast and flowing. So
now, quick question.
No, I'm not saying Dimico couldn't pay it. He would just have to actually go on his character sheet and like, 5 gold off. So I don't know. Do you have 5 gold offhand?
No.
Okay.
No.
Aygir, who's got this archaeologist background, he's an artificer. He's like some kind of specialist tradesman. We're not going to get in the nitty gritty. You pay it as long as you agree to pay it.
All right. Aygir reaches into a pouch and makes a little bit of a show of individually placing the 5 coins on top of each other and says, "Don't spend it all in one place."
It never gets spent in one place. All right. Very well. And he signs off on the slip. Don't lose that. Show it at the final gate. Good selling for you.
Pops it into his hand and secretes it into some pocket, and they proceed.
All right, so you go like shuffle through the short gate corridor. There's another guard at the other end. You got to show him the signed taxation slip, and he just waves you through. And you're in Barnacle now, and you're on the streets, and it is a bustling, dense elven city. It's not the biggest city. It's the second biggest city in Haven Isle, so it's got a good amount of size. Quite a bit of people live here. A lot of trade comes in and out of the port. So you go through the crowded streets, and you're hearing elven voices everywhere you go. And we're gonna cut to the next scene now in Strong Castle. So Aygir and Dimico are meeting with Elluin and Vapor in a commons area of Strong Castle. It is a big indoor plaza. There are benches, there are fountains, there are statues, there are people performing for money. You hear someone playing on a harp-like instrument that makes these rapid fire arpeggiated trills. and someone accompanies that with singing. There's people that are playing. There's kids playing games. There's people with like little pet lizards and pet birds, and there's just a general hum and roar. And there's stalls and stands where you can get all kinds of things to eat. You can get wine and beer.
This is a nightmare to Dimico. He doesn't like it here.
Is this sort of, the way I'm imagining, is this sort of like kind of like a gypsy encampment where like there's like lots of different cultures and like things going on here?
It's distinctly elvish.
Oh, it's distinctly elvish. Okay.
Distinctly elven and
Gotcha.
Barnacolian elven with that.
Okay,
Right?
I see.
And the whole place was originally a giant castle. So the ceiling is really high, and like the balcony things are way up there, vaulted, and all the corridors are really wide. And the staircases, even though they've been fitted with like, elven-sized stairs, they still go up really far because it would have been dwarf steps or giant steps initially. And there's the potted plants. There's actually a lot of potted mushrooms. There's big mushroomy things growing out of these big stonework pots. And here and there are, watchmen on guard. But you also catch a glimpse of a passing trio of House Drakestone guardsmen, and these are like the Haven Isle House Drakestone elite guardsmen, and they've got this armor that is studded with a kind of sap. It's a really, really dark brown to nearly black sap that's studded into their armor. And it's this like alchemically treated specialized sap that is as hard as steel, or even maybe harder. And they've got these mask helmets on, and they have these like flare stylizations at the side that protect ears. And they've got the capes that are in that like deep dark magenta color of House Brackenstone, and they carry their armaments. These are not the typical watchmen, so what are they here? Maybe they're protecting a member of House Drakestone, but it's not you that they're with, Elluin. You and Vapor meet in just a out of the way corner where there's like kids playing with some toys and people eating and drinking and people selling bolts of cloth and yarns and ropes, and it's just like a common trade corner / commons area. And so the four of you meet, Elluin and Vapor and Aygir and Dimico. Here you are together.
Now, quick question: does Elluin direct? I know he directly knows Aygir from Vapor, but does he directly know Dimico, or is this the first time he's met Dimico?
You've met Dimico a couple of times, so you're acquainted with him. You're just not very familiar with him. Oh, and one other thing, Elluin, this Grove Sheen is not for you.
Yeah, I was about to ask about that. Yeah, like why does Elluin want it?
Yeah, you received a letter.
Is it Spindle?
Yeah. You received a letter, Elluin, the day after your brother's funeral. You received a letter from Lord Canis Spindle, the Lord of the Broken Tower. He is known as the oldest elf in Barnacle.
That's right.
That smoke device.
Yeah, he actually fought in the original siege of Eaberg. He fought against the giants.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So your family, that would have been your ancestors, they like awarded him a whole tower, and it was a broken tower. Like literally the top of it got like smashed off and broke. And everyone thought he was going to do what everyone else did and like rebuild it and put elven stylizations, and he never did that. And it's just forever this broken, half-ruined tower that he lives in. And people say he went crazy from the horrors of the war, and he had two brothers that were knights, and they both died in the war. And so everyone's like, oh, he's just this broken man that just, hides out a recluse in his tower.
So is Elluin related to this guy, like distantly?
You're not distantly related to him, not that you know of, but he definitely served under House Drakestone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
So you actually received a letter from him the day after your brother's funeral, and he in the letter said, I heard that you are acquainted with one of the Firbolgs of the Tangle.
Yes.
I would very much like to acquire a packet of Grove Sheen. I'll make sure to even pay extra for it so you can have some some payment for yourself. Can you secure this for me and bring it to my tower?
Yes, I can. All right.
Yeah.
I suppose.
Can you go to your drug dealer and get me some of that good stuff?
Exactly. Basically, I'm the middleman.
You don't know Connor Spindle very well. Like, you've seen him a couple times. Think like, the strange old recluse hermit guy at the end of the street, and you only go there on Halloween, and he gives out like the weird off-brand candy.
I just want to say, like, this feels so much like I'm like this super rich kid who's getting my supplier who lives like in the shandals, and like he's giving me drugs so I can sell, and like I'm like the bad kid in my mansion, and like it's great.
Why aren't you more like your brother was?
Your brother never dealt drugs like you do. Why can't you be like Rourke?
Her just kind of Spindle wants some whatever.
All right. Well, back to the scene though.
Yeah. Let's get back to the scene.
Okay, sorry. All right. So Vapor and I are walking. I'm sure like I'm probably like talking with Vapor as we're expecting Aygir and Dimico, saying, "Well, Vapor, I'm glad that you came to my brother's funeral. I do appreciate that."
Yes. Other than, don't take this the wrong way, but your family's a bunch of shits.
I'll sort of laugh a little bit and say, "Oh yes, I've lived with them. Trust me, I know that some of them are quite bad, but we're not all of us are that bad. Just most.
Honestly, if it wasn't a funeral, I probably would not have come. Unfortunately, I pay my respects, and I would always do that. But your family, the way they act, they are just shits."
Yeah, I'll sort of like pat you on the back or the shoulder, say like, "Yes, I understand, but it did mean a lot to me for you coming to my brother's funeral. Even though you don't like my family, I appreciate you being there, even if only for myself."
Yeah, Fred, so I'll help you out.
Don't invite your drug dealer.
I could have come to your funeral too if I had been invited.
Oh, that would have been great.
Yeah, like Dimico's there, and it's like, "Mother, I'd like to introduce you to my friend Dimico. He supplies me the drugs that I sell to the crazy old guy who lives in the broken tower."
I just needed that humor for a second.
Aygir and Dimico approach, so you all are with each other now.
Yeah,
Vapor
a voice interrupts the conversation, saying, "Hey, Wispy Man, go back to the steam curtain with your own people. What are you doing here in good elf part of town?"
When Vapor sees Aygir, he's going to speak in Goblinese. "Really, is that how you talk to your guide who shows you around when you ever come out there? By the way, my mother sent you a package. I don't know why she keeps sending you food."
"That's how I talk when it's your turn to buy the drinks." "She did? I haven't gotten it."
Yes, that pie that she makes. You always seem to enjoy it so much.
"Yes, this is true."
Yeah, so she made more of it and told me that if next time I see you to give it to you. I don't know why. I should.
Oh. Well, then I would have dropped the whole ruse if I knew there was free pie in the deal.
Yeah, you're not getting it now.
This is all in Goblinese.
Yeah, this is all in Goblinese.
I don't understand it.
Perhaps there is something which may change the situation. I brought this one, as you see, and he's brought that stuff that Elluin wants. Smoky.
I don't know why they smoke it. It tastes awful, in my opinion.
This is important. Question. Before I acknowledge the people here, are there any animals like within, like very close? Cat, dog.
There are,
whatever.
yeah. There are some pets. Some people have some pet lizards and some pet birds.
Okay.
So the birds are not all from Barnacle. There are some parrots. So Barnacle is actually not in a kind of tropical part of the world. It gets warmed up because of the heat waves that come off of the lava sea. It's out a ways, but it's enough to bring in heat. But Barnacle itself is actually situated in a more northerny part of the world. So some people just have, exotic pets here. There's this other kind of animal. I still haven't quite worked it out yet, but I think it kind of fills the role of like dog in this part of the world. And it's a reptilian thing, and I think it walks on 2 legs, but it's like kind of a frolicky, has like a dog-like temperament, and it sniffs a lot with a big nose. So I seem to work that out. So probably somebody has one of those ungals or whatever they're called.
I look forward to seeing a picture of this eventually, Esper.
Yeah.
So I suppose that... Oh, sorry. Did you want to do something?
Sorry. Oh, my last thing. Yeah, I feel like I would acknowledge the animal, like whatever's closest to me first, before like acknowledging the people. And I'd actually speak an animal to them because Firbolgs have an ability, the speech of plants and animals. They can talk to animals and plants, basically, even though it gives them no special ability to influence them. So I'm just like, hello there.
Which creature are you speaking to?
Let's go with the dog-like thing that walks on 2 legs. Yeah.
All right, so you look at the thing, and it has these big hind legs, but then smaller front legs, and it stoops over like that and has this rounded head, but the eyes are actually kind of like a cute to look at eyes. All the features are rounded. They've been bred and kept by people for a long time.
We've got the porgs. We've got the porgs of Esper's world.
Oh my gosh. Do porgs have ears? Because these creatures don't have ears.
No, I don't think so. I was just saying the cute thing that's going to catch on and explode. Everyone's going to be a fan of.
And it has like the mouth thing, and it's got a big nose, a big sniffy nose. So think of it like a dinosaur pig dog.
We should ever call this the Dino Pig Dog.
I'll get this creature worked out later. Come on,
it's all good. I would say hello to
everybody who's watching this campaign. You're just going to have to enjoy the world building because that's going to be part of all of this. All right, so you go up to this creature, and there's like a couple of elf kids that are playing with it. They've got a little ball or something that they're tossing back and forth, and it's got its tongue. And it like brings the ball back to the kid, and you come and you say hi to it, and it looks at you. And is it a telepathic thing, or is it just
no? It is.
You hear that?
Yeah. So you have the ability to communicate in a limited manner. They can understand the meaning of your words, although you have no special ability to understand them in return.
Okay. So what's happening is that you're talking in maybe your Sylvan,
and the animal can understand me.
Yep. And the animal hears it, and then it talks back with like.
Exactly.
But you understand the general idea of what it's saying.
I get a general idea because I just, I said hello, and it's probably saying
all right.
Hello.
So no one else hears the words, but I'm going to say the words because that's what your character understands.
Yeah, sure.
Ball? Do you have more ball? You want to play ball? You want to play with me?
Not right now, little one, but please go enjoy, have fun.
Fun? Yes, fun. Yeah. Oh, ball! He threw the ball again. Oh.
And that actually makes my character smile a little bit, even though I know that's just a insignificant detail. He kind of cares about the animals and the creatures here more than maybe the people.
The thing goes frolicking off to go catch the ball, and one of the little elven girls looks up at you and she says, "What language were you speaking?"
The language of my people.
Are you a dwarf?
No.
I've decided right in here and now those creatures are called Agongs. The dino pig dog.
You're going to need to spell in on that, but it sounds cool.
They're just dino pig dogs to me, but yes.
What are you?
I am Dimico.
Are you from a different land?
Yes, I am from what's called the Tangle.
And a boy there, maybe her little brother, he looks at your... Remind me again what you have? You said you had a sling and a pouch of stones?
Basically, imagine just like a shoulder satchel pouch, like a messenger bag, which holds my stuff, my spear, and basically just woven pants of green and just like my entire body is like furry, I imagine. So I've got like bare fur, chest, shoulders,
Sure.
the scraggly beard, and like little bits of scraggle hair with leaves and things. Well, not
And
leaves,
Aygir
but,
is a hairy, burly guy in beard and stuff, right? Too.
yeah.
Although they're both far larger than or taller than a dwarf, so that's.
Yeah. Well, it is a little kid after all. So like her little brother's there, and he looks at your spear. He actually touches it. He puts like his fingers on it. He's like, "I have a pulse spike too, but Dad doesn't let me bring it out here because he says that I will get hurt somebody."
Your father is very wise.
My dad used to go work outside of the city, but then Mama said that one time when he was working far outside the city, another lady came and she took off her clothes and she laid down on top of him. And so Dad can't ever leave the city again.
That is very strange. I don't understand, but I'm sure there is some reason for that. You should go play with your dino pig dog.
The Ogong.
I wouldn't know what it's called. I wouldn't know its proper name, I should say.
I suppose like after like that intro, I guess Elluin would probably walk up and greet Aygir, or is it Aygir or Aygir?
Aygir.
Aygir. Oh, okay, Aygir.
Like kicking it into high gear, but no age.
I come over to you guys.
Yeah.
And,
I'll walk up and say, welcome, my friends. It's been too long, and I'll sort of reach my hand out to like shake each of your hands. If I don't know if that's something that you guys would do, but
Be careful. Be careful. Wouldn't want a highborn swordhead like you to be seen calling me friend.
Well, after I shake your hand, I'll say, well, yeah, some of the people here have very backwards ways of thinking, but I tend to not care what those people think.
Well, that is, I suppose, why I can call you more than an acquaintance. All of this, whenever Aygir opens his mouth, basically, he kind of talks to everyone in a way that's very matter of fact and kind of true, not lying, but also definitely doesn't like sugar up his words at all. Can kind of come across as abrasive to the wrong people.
So you're trying to greet my character by holding your hand out?
Yeah, so I would greet you after I hear and say hello.
So
Dimico.
you hold your hand out, and I take it gently by the wrist, and I pull it up to my face, and I sniff it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like sniffing you, like I'm like getting your scent, and then I let it go, and I just nod.
I'll sort of like take my hand back and sort of shake it a little bit, and say,
hand out. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Oh, you put your hand up to me. I'm just going to. I guess I'll like lean down and like sniff it a little bit. Like I'm a little confused as to what to do here, but like I'm trying to be respectful. Yeah.
In my place, I would have been much closer when I performed this, but I understand it is not something that they are comfortable with. There's been a couple incidents, let's just say, in the past where I greeted people. Maybe I'd pull them in and I'd like sniff like an animal would.
Yeah, so
I understand now that's not okay, but it's different on the Tangle.
I guess after that exchange, I'll say, well, quite a greeting, Dimico. It's good to see you, though. I've heard Aygir and Vapor. They told me that you were able to get the I already forgot the name of it. The grove. You could procure the grove sheen for me.
I take my satchel and I open it up and I show you, like right out in the open, whatever. My character doesn't know there. That it's filled up pretty much to almost the brim with grove sheen.
All right, I'll look down and just sort of inspect it a little bit, make sure that it's what I'm looking for.
Esper thinks is a reasonable amount. I don't know how much he had in mind. It's filled up with however much Esper says.
Yeah, and I'll take a look and say, oh, very well. That looks like exactly what I'm looking for. Well, I suppose that we should get on to payment. and I'll sort of look to you at first, and I'm assuming that you probably, I don't know what you would do, like when I'm looking to you for payment.
You're looking at Dimico?
Yeah, but because you're the one who has it, so
Exactly.
yeah, Elluin's like, so we should get to
you look to me. I look to Aygir.
Oh, Aygir?
I think you would be best served talking to me about matters of coins. You know, this one does not know how intricacies of money work.
Ah, true.
I do have a request after this is finished, but it can wait.
Yes, any request that you need.
I have to butt in here. Elluin, you don't have the money for this on you.
Oh.
The money is actually coming from Spindle. The money's coming from Spindle.
Oh, yeah.
Canis Spindle.
Oh, so basically, I'm just bringing it to him, and then I'm going to pay them. Okay,
He doesn't have pocket change.
I get
it. He can't pay for his own
drugs.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess, so once I realize that Aygir is the one that I need to discuss the payment with, I'll say, well, Aygir, I regret to inform you, I actually do not have the payment on hand. This grove sheet,
the table.
this grove sheet is actually not for myself. It's for I'm assuming it's probably a friend. For a friend of mine, Spindle. Is that
Canis Spindle? He's 169 years old, man.
Yeah. It's for a friend, Spindle. I don't know if you've heard of him before. He's a fairly older elf. He's good for the money, though. I can assure you.
A rich boy tries to broker a deal with no money on hand for a friend, has us come all the way over here, doesn't even have the pocket change to acquire the goods we have, and all of this is so he can give the Grove Sheen to the old man down the street.
After
what exact flavor of jester do you take me for?
After Aygir says that, Vapor's just going to put his face palm and go, I was wrong. You're also shit.
This isn't my doing. Esper said I didn't have the money. So
we did all this stuff so you could get it. You don't have the money. You are a shit.
Why is this the first words I've heard since you left?
It is actually a very valuable thing that Dimico has brought here.
Oh, sorry. I couldn't hear what you said.
Probably more than just pocket change.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm assuming you're just giving him hell. So
yeah. So when you say that, I'll sort of realize like maybe this I shouldn't have started with that, but I'll look and say, Aygir, I've never done wrong by you. I've never. I'm assuming we've probably done transactions before, Esper. So I'll say I've always been good on my word. I don't think I've ever lied to you before. You can trust me. You're welcome to come with me if you'd like. We can do the deal together.
Is everyone good with that?
Actually, Adam said something, but I couldn't hear what he said.
Yeah, you have a black screen, Aygir.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, he froze.
Right. Yeah. The right
Aygir has gone to low gear. He's gone.
Yeah. He said something about vapors, and I couldn't.
He says that. He says that apparently he's crashing in the Discord.
he'll be back and he'll tell us what he said.
Yeah. Right.
I don't want to do the broken tower scene without Adam here, so
let's
just keep going with this, and then once he comes back, we'll cut to that scene.
That's fine. I guess while he's gone, I'll look at Dimico and I'll say just to like sort of go to something to go on. I'll say, Dimico, I know that you don't usually come into the city. Are you finding yourself well? Have you enjoyed yourself here?
Dimico is actually kind of like. He's got his like coping mechanism, but he's not feeling great like about being surrounded by people, and he's looking around. He's like, the energies here are all wrong. The flowing of energy is stunted in this place. It doesn't flow like it should.
I'll nod my head and say, yes, many of my kind have bad vibes with those that they deem different, but you have my word, no harm will come to you.
I'm not worried about my safety. I trust that they will not harm me without reason.
Oh, you would.
And if they did, I would have to defend myself. Oh, and we got an Aygir back.
Fantastic.
Your group, as much as you wanted this to be kind of a commonplace, you do get a lot of looks. Now, there are other performers and assorted types here, and people that are like selling things and wanting to be extravagant. So that's probably why Elluin chose this location. That said, people do take notice. You've got a pale, misty-colored human. You've got a hobgoblin, and we've got a Firbolg who's like almost a half giant thing.
And then all of them are associating with like a highborn elf.
Well, let me ask you this, Elluin. Are you actually in your typical garb, or did you put on like different clothing or maybe a hood?
That's a good question. You know what? I didn't think of that. You know, actually,
Vapor would have made sure you didn't come out in your garb.
Okay, yeah. I was about to say, Elluin, if it was just him, he probably would have just come out in his regular garb. So everyone, but if Vapor had mentioned it, he would have taken Vapor's word and sort of probably put like just a cloak on to sort of like kind of shroud him, like cover himself a bit so that he's not as recognizable unless you really know who he is.
All right, so you put on a plain cloak to cover up your finery.
Yeah.
And so to the broken tower.
Before that,
there was something that Adam said from his character about Vapor. I couldn't hear what he said.
He said, "Those are the wisest and truest words I've heard spoken since you've left the steam curtain."
He should as well.
But before we do that, before we get to that as well, I wanted to. You said that there were other. Oh man. What was I gonna say? 1 second. Other Drakestone guards that were in there that were in this area?
There were a trio of Drakestone guards, so like high guards, and they passed through the section of Strong Castle where you all were. They're not walking rounds. You saw them go through.
Oh, so they're not in here anymore?
By now, no.
Okay. Yeah,
There's just a regular watchman doing the rounds.
Gotcha. Yeah, I was gonna go up and ask them stuff, but yeah, if they are gone, then that is not.
And just to fill everyone in with a quick detail, Vapor and Aygir have mentioned this area. They're from a different region of Haven Isle called the Cloud Steppe, and again, that's world building for another time. But it's different region, different environment. They're not locally from Barnacle.
Yeah, so the only ones that were born and raised in this area were Dimico and Elluin, I think.
Yep.
And then
Elluin being like born of a highborn noble family in Barnacle proper, and Dimico was out in the Tangle, which is like adjacent to Barnacle.
Yep. There'll be maps at some point which will make all this much clearer. I assume we have a basic map, but it's probably still in the works. I assume, Esper.
Yes. So I don't want to screen share the rough draft map, but I'll have a proper one.
So how far away is the castle? Like how many days travel?
So everything's in Barnacle, and the Broken Tower is just one of what used to be one of the Giants' towers.
Oh, so that's also in this area. Okay, cool. I thought it was going to be.
You'll just walk like in half an hour, and you'll be there.
Oh, okay. I thought it was like a day travel. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, understandable.
As we go to the Broken Tower, Esper, I have a question for you. And then we can cut there if you like. Does the energy feel pure or perhaps more focused around the tower? And when I say energy, I mean what I sense as energy. And I do have a detect magic ability if you think that would be thematic to utilize that for the purpose.
And you're referring to the Broken Tower itself?
Yes.
Okay.
Because I feel like the city, not much magic. It's just a place where people live. The Broken Tower itself feels like might be a sort of a nexus point where the guy lives.
Okay. So let's do that. Let's get you all to the Broken Tower. Let's go to that scene, and I'll talk about that.
Aygir definitely remarks along the way that we look like the setup to a joke.
Also on the way
a Hobgoblin, a Firbolg, Genasi, and a renegade noble elf walk into the Broken Tower.
Also on the way, on the way to the Broken Tower, just to add some theme to it. I'll sort of like like pat Aygir on the back a little bit and say, I do apologize for this. I should have informed you that I didn't actually have the money for it, and that that Spindle would be paying for it himself. I hope this doesn't hurt our friendship or the way that we do business in the future.
If Schultes could and Kushtis would, then I'd hit you over the head with it. Let's just do it and be done with it.
Very well.
You've never known Elluin to exactly be like the most organized person in the world. So this is not an uncharacteristic thing. The details were hazy. Stuff starts changing the moment you get there.
Elluin is sort of like he's very charismatic, and he's able to sort of like make the negotiations and get kind of what he needs. But like he's very bad at organizing the actual.
I mean, you have a really valid excuse. You just attended your brother's funeral.
That's another reason, yeah.
Whereas,
Vapor's not going to accept that excuse. He's no shit.
So you all are making your way to the Broken Tower. Another role of this wealth rank that I have is to handle mundane stuff like hiring a coach across the town. Yeah. It also accounts for your living expenses as well. I've determined that actually tracking individual coinage for those mundane things is not fun. Yeah. So we can keep the general idea of the wealth rank in mind, and I guess I can give you the names of the categories later. And so, like at this scene, you could all like walk there, or since you have Elluin with you, and probably even Aygir as well, you could also hire like a Xena coach.
Elluin would actually definitely do that, because it is kind of his fault that we have to go there anyway without informing. So he would oblige that to get us there a little faster.
Yeah, and so this will work for things like this: hiring a coach. You go to the tavern and you get something to drink or eat. You want to stay at an inn, and just your everyday living stuff. So all that can be taken care of by the wealth rank, instead of like, I probably would hire a coach in reality, but I don't want to go through the annoying bother of like subtracting out 6 silver pieces off my character sheet.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, I like it.
All right, so you make your way not even across the whole city, just part of the city. It's kind of like on the other side of the castle complex. And there it is, rising up before you, this great giant tower. There are other giant towers as well. There's 3 giant towers. There is the Gloom Tower, the Storm Tower, which is burned at the top from a lightning bolt, and the Broken Tower. There's a 4th tower, but it's not a giant tower, as in giant kin constructed. It's a mushroom spire.
Right, the Haven word. Yeah.
Yes. Mushroom spires are not common in this part of Haven Isle because it's like a rocky sea island. But if you go like north across Haven Isle, there's a big mushroom forest where these big mushrooms grow. A number of different big mushrooms grow, and the elves actually tend and use a bit of magic and grow these big spires that are towers. Like they hollow them out and make chambers and such inside of them. But Barnacle does have one single mushroom spire. So you see these things passing in the near distance as you're going along the ups and downs of the various elevations of the city streets. You eventually arrive at the Broken Tower, and so this thing goes up, like for a medium-sized creature would be like several stories tall, but they're not that many stories because they're giant. So like one giant story is like 3 or 4, and then it just hits this jagged end, as though someone just like took a gnarly bite out of a carrot and just stuck it standing vertical like that. And there's even signs of some construction that had been done, like here and there. There's like a loose flapping in the breeze piece of tarp of canvas, and like the remains of some scaffolding, and there's like a cart with some construction stoneworking, like dwarven materials, but it looks like no one's touched that in months. And there is this gate that's at a small ring wall, and the gate's rusted, and it's like hanging ajar. And so whatever, I guess would just let yourself in, and you go walk up to the Broken Tower, and it's got this big double door for like originally made for giants. Like he never even replaced the door. And so this door is freaking 20 feet tall. And it's got this knocker on it that you'd have to like hold it like this. And Dimico, you're using a magic detection, is that right?
Basically, so we could do it one of two ways. I feel that I could probably, just from my background, sense astral magical energy kind of stuff.
Okay.
I also have a mechanical detect magic ability once per short rest, I think. Or maybe it's per long rest. I might be getting it mixed up. No, it is once per short rest.
Okay, so do you have the magic detection active then?
I can do that if the other thing doesn't thematically work for you.
Gotcha. The first thing, you don't sense any presence of that nature here.
Okay.
Of an astral variety.
No godly magic. Yeah, gotcha.
Nothing strikes you as divine. You don't get the vibe. Yeah.
Okay.
You know, in any sort of way.
That's fine. It's not a special place of that nature. That's fine. Yeah, I don't think I'd use the tech magic in that case.
Okay. Well, just let me know if you change your mind. And
I will.
Whoever does the knocker is this big, heavy brass thing. You wait a bit, and eventually you hear this noise on the inside. Almost sounds like someone hefting a pulley system, and the door groans open a couple of feet, and stepping out is a dwarf, and he has a beard which looks unkempt. His clothing is finery, but it's not well-kept finery. There's a part that needs to be repaired. Doesn't look like it's been washed in a while. There's even a bit of like dust or cobweb that like, you know, rubbed off on his shoulder, and apparently he never noticed. And the dwarf wears a mask that covers half of his face. He's got the eye hole, and that eye looks damaged. Like you literally see parts that look like a scar or like that bloody bloodshot look to it. And this is Adelmund, the major domo of the Broken Tower.
Welcome to you. I see you've come with great haste, young sire of Drakestone. And you brought companions. Yes, well, that's fine and well.
Yes, it's nice to make your acquaintance again. Is Spindlin? We have business.
The Lord will receive you. Come inside.
Thank you. And I'll sort of like, you know, not like bow my head a little bit and then walk inside.
So you walk through the Broken Tower, and the inside really needs to be cleaned. There are stacks of boxes and, you know, old drapery, barrels, crates, books, shelves, storage containers of every variety. It looks like he doesn't throw away anything. It's all coated in dust. It all has cobwebs. The whole place has a must smell to it. You pass by like massive, giant scaled hearth, which looks like it hasn't been swept out of the cinders in ever. And you go up the staircase, and they didn't even change the stair. It looks like nothing was changed about this place. So each step you take, you have to like lift your foot up and like hoist yourself onto the next step.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not quite as bad for Dimico. If you were a halfling or a small size character, you'd have to grab the ledge and like pull yourself on.
Vapor's using levitation to just float up the steps.
So Vapor floats along, not exhausting himself. The dwarf has a bit of a technique that he uses where he like puts his shoulder and then he does this kind of roll, and he rolls himself onto the next step.
Oh yeah, because he's a smaller character, right? So he actually, yeah,
he's not small size, but he's shorter and has shorter legs than the rest of you. So he has some kind of technique that it seems like par for the course, and you go up, and this staircase winds around, and you go up, and finally you've gone up into the second story, but it's the equivalent of like 8 stories to a medium-sized character. And then you get to this part where you see in the ceiling, so you're on the second landing, and again, the whole place is just like cluttered and pack-ratted and covered in dust and smells musty. You see a part of the ceiling where it's broken out. There's a gaping, jagged hole in the ceiling, and there are these thick ropes coming down, and there is a lift, a sort of cage type thing.
The Lord will see you now.
Thank you. What was his name again? The dwarf?
Edelmund.
Edelmund. Okay.
Edelmund.
I'll say thank you, Edelmund. I appreciate that. And I'm probably like a little tired from having to walk up all these stairs, so frantic a little bit. It's like I'll look to the other and say, I've always hated these stairs.
Is this not your first time here?
Oh no, I've been here a few times, but I never.
He's only been at the front, at the portico.
Yeah, but I've never had to. Oh, so I've never actually. But I've never had to actually walk up the stairs before.
You had the look of one who's never had to walk much of anywhere.
Well, I've definitely had my training, but I still don't enjoy walking up almost 8 stories of stairs in one go.
So what?
Yes, that's with the sword.
I remember one time when you was just a young lad, little more than a babe, and they carried you aloft in a pillowed palanquin to one of the gaolers.
I'm sure.
And I said, "Oh, there's a right apple there, that one."
I'll sort of chuckle a little bit and be like, "I'm sure you have many stories of my early years."
Of course, you never got your fill of candies.
I did enjoy. I did have a bit of a sweet tooth when I was younger. I still kind of do, actually.
Well, the Lord will have some in a jar up above. Help yourself.
What is
You
candy?
may enter the lift, if you please.
Of course, Edelman. Thank you. And I'll sort of.
And he goes over to a side table, which is like one of the only tables that looks like not coated in dust. And there's this like triple, hand ringer bell thing. Does everyone get into the lift?
Yeah, I'll get it.
Yeah.
I step into the lift. It probably like goes down like an inch, like an elevator with a really heavy load on.
All right, so he rings the bell. And with a great creaking heft, the lift goes up into the air, and you hear the creaks and the pulleys and winches. And you get lifted up some, 40 feet up into the next level.
I was going to be this poor dwarf cranking away.
When you reach the next higher level, the atmosphere changes completely, and it's a little bit cooler, and it's a little bit warmer, and the whole thing is filled with a clinging smoke.
Yep.
It's dimmer in here as well, but you can make out through the smoky haze like there's a chandelier burning from the ceiling, and like there's a lantern over on a wall hook, and there are mannequins, and they're not standing upright. They're just kind of like left sitting, and there are these suits of full plate armor that are just like lying like this as someone needs to like clean them and put them back on their racks.
I mean, the guy's a war hero. We can't judge him for whatever.
If possible, Aygir might actually take a slightly closer look at those.
You step out of the lift. There's a bit of a ramp, and you take that. This like gaping hole in the ground behind you. Best avoid that. and you go and you take a look at one of the suits of plate armor that is just like, you know, lying there as though a drunkard passed out in an alley. And somewhere with like, it gets pretty hazy, so you can't see the full extent of this chamber. And you can it even seems like in one area there's a bit of like a shaft of sunlight coming through, like a chunk that's missing out of the wall that hasn't gotten fixed. And you hear some kind of movement or scampering off in the distance, and you hear an indistinct voice. Is it talking? Is it humming? Is it singing? What is it?
There's actually a feature of my background called historical knowledge, which, as written, says when you enter a ruin or a dungeon, you can correctly ascertain the original purpose and determine its builders, whether those were whatever race, or in addition, you can determine the monetary value of art objects more than a century old. I don't know if that does anything.
Oh yes, it absolutely does.
Case, but
everything in here looks like it's more than a century old. The suits of armor are of elven make, and there's actually elf and gnome engineers help with them as well. These armors were never made for people to wear. They were made to actually be automaton, like armor guardians. And you don't know if they're defunct or if they still can be activated. The tower itself is made by giants. It's clearly giant architecture. You highly suspect fire giants had the main hand in the construction of this tower. What else can I tell you? What else do you want to know?
This is nice work. It's a shame to leave it just lying here like this.
Yeah, I mean, it could be refurbished and it would be worth quite a lot.
I'll speak out. I'll say, Lord Spindle, are you in here?
I'm not going to fly. This is where I would live if I could pick any place in this town.
You hear a sound as though the reverberations of a great exhalation.
His cooking.
And a big billow of smoke, like a fog bank, comes and washes out the area, and it's hard to see. I don't know, maybe Vapor feels a little bit more at home here. He's from the
if the vision is starting to get worse and worse, Vapor's just completely relaxed. It's like, it could be a little bit warmer.
You hear steps, plodding steps through the haze.
It's like a geyser erupting back home, Vapor.
That's what I was thinking.
And poking through the smoke is the head of an old elf with long, long white hair and a nose like a carrot and a chin that juts out like a potato. And he's got these like hanging clothes from his lithe body. A tall guy.
Spindle is in. Oh. I sent for you, didn't I? Welcome.
Yes,
Who might you all be?
These are actually the ones that procured your oh man, I keep forgetting the name. Grovesheen. That procured your Grovesheen.
You've brought the Grovesheen.
Dimico steps forward to, like, he's probably towering over this elf, and he just kind of leans down and like sniffs him. And like, who are you?
Huh. You need to learn better manners. It is not to go sticking your nose where it doesn't belong.
And he jabs his nose back at you. And then he, upon getting a whiff of you, he actually sneezes. And the smoke like billows away from him, and you can see him a little bit better.
Yeah.
He's a tall elf. He's not as tall as Dimico. Old guy. Apparently, he's 169 years old.
Yep.
I'll look at him when he says that. I'll say, Lord Spindle, please excuse my friend here, but he's a bit unfamiliar with the ways of the elves. He is the one though that who actually has your Grovesheen.
It's just
yes.
dealing with someone so old as you, And he puts a special emphasis on the word old, which to him sounds like a compliment because old things are cool, but it might totally come across as a bit of an insult.
He doesn't seem to take it as an insult. Another detail, when he sneezes and build away the smoke, you can see his legs better, and he's got leg braces on. There's like leathern straps and these side like brass fittings, like splints basically, that help keep his legs steady. His legs look weak and really emaciated.
Medical braces, yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And whom are you, goblin kind?
I am Aygir, son of Temu. I am from far to the west on the Cloud Steppe.
Cloud Steppe. I do not know. Temu, was he a warrior?
His name means steel. Yes, he is a warrior.
Where would we be in this world without steel?
Probably in the Tangle.
With Grovesheen, that might not be such a bad thing. And you, I scarcely could notice you. Looks at Vapor, who's kind of blending in with the environment here.
I am from the Steam Curtains.
A precarious place to live, but surely you jest.
I do not. We are a small group of Genasi who all live out there.
What brings one such as you to Barnacle? It seems to me that where you're from is much more exciting.
Yes, I would like to say it is a bit more exciting, but I come to for a letter that Aygir sent and for a funeral that I helped a friend at.
Thank you for your contribution. Did you, by chance, arrive in Barnacle by kite sail?
No, but that would be an interesting idea, though I don't think... Hold on one second. Sorry, guys. I got a phone going on in the background.
Yep. So he just mentioned a creature called a kite sail. It's a reptilian flying creature. The wings actually come off of their hind legs, though. They kind of begin at their forelegs, kind of through the armpit area, and they run along their side and then fan out into their legs and go all the way to their feet. And their hind legs are much larger, so when they're actually on the ground, they kind of go up like how a frog legs cinch up, or however you want to call that. But yeah, this is a type of flying drake, and they're actually kept and bred by House Drakestone. It's a specialty of your house, Elluin, but many other folk utilize kite sails for aerial travel.
Unfortunately, I did not. This one, and points his thumb at Elluin, would not be was unwilling to send one out to come and pick me up.
Why is everyone making me look like an asshole, apparently?
How I miss the days of flying atop of kite sails. That is how I came to Barnacle. I flew a great distance. Back then, the kite sails were different. Nobler beasts, fiercer and larger. I had a rose crest. Oh, she was a beauty. I rode her into battle, flocked and swarmed, dove and slashed giants. They could scarcely get a lock on me. Oh, alas, these old legs wouldn't grip like they used to.
Well, Lord Spindle, if you don't mind, I'm sure that my friends here would like to discuss the payments.
Yes. Let us see what you have brought me.
Well, if it is not too much an imposition, actually, your legs could grip pretty well if you just had a little bit different shape bracket on the right side.
Is that so?
And he almost like half stumbles at the thought of that as his leg looks like his knee almost gave out.
This will put a kick back in my legs, and I will fly my old rose crest in my mind.
So quick question. So Elluin has known Spindle like since he was a kid, right? He's like talked with Spindle before, like
Sure.
when he was younger.
Yeah,
as well.
at the front door. You've talked with Edelman more than Spindle, but somewhere in there you chatted with Spindle.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I was about to say because if that's the case, Elluin actually probably would smoke it as well if it was for him, because being around Spindle for his like early childhood and stuff, he probably somehow like got an attachment to the Grove Sheen as well. I was just for like lore and like character building. Yeah.
He opens up the packet of the fungal cap, smells it.
Oh, pure. I suppose I should pay you. Yes, that would be in good order.
And he reaches a hand down into interior pocket, and you hear like a jingle. He's jingling around a bunch of coins. He just like looks. He doesn't even look down. He just kind of blinks, looks up, and jingles for a bit, and then pulls out a handful.
Here you are.
And just like coins dripping and drizzling out of his hands.
I'll take them.
He has paid you 250 gold pieces.
To the well-trained eye of an archaeologist and also one who is intelligent and knows a thing or two about money, does this look like what this is worth, or more, or less?
He's paid extra.
Yeah, 250 is a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot.
He's paid extra. You're thinking paying 200 would be a pretty standard deal. So
Aygir nods in approval and looks even more favorably at this weird old guy who lives among all this cool old stuff.
Yeah,
since you're a fan of cool old stuff, those coins have an old mint. They're not even current Haven Isle mint. They're like minted in like the Drakestone settlement in the old realm. Yeah. Back south.
I said
back south.
I'll take the 250 and I'll sort of I'll put it in my
hanging out with Indian pennies.
Yeah, I'll take the 250 gold pieces and I'll put it in my pouches and whatnot. I'll look to Spindle and I'll say, "Thank you so much, Spindle. I'm sure that the Grove Sheen will be of excellent quality. Dimico here," and I'll sort of gesture to Dimico, can make a fine Grove Sheen from what I've heard.
Well, actually, it was my god that made it, but yes, I helped harvest.
Oh, I see. I was not aware of the process.
Praise be to the gods for this divine offering.
And he like walks across the hall here into the haze, and you hear him fumbling around, and his voice echoes from wherever he went.
You care to join, Master Drakestone?
I like to think that he probably has some kind of a long robe or tailcoat on, and the last thing we see disappear into the smoke is this like slippery train of cloth, like the tail of some sort of dragon.
Yeah, exactly.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. When he asked to join, I'll look to the three of you, and I'm just gonna be like sort of nudge and say, I would love to, Lord Spindle. Is it all right if my friends here join? Then I'll look at you guys and I'll say, of course, if you want to. I don't know if you've ever smoked Grove Sheen, but it is quite the delicacy.
First, you don't smoke up with your dealer. You're not friends.
By all means, I had hoped that you would arrive with your whole company, and there is something to discuss. But first, let us blaze.
Yes. All right. Yeah,
oh my gosh, we are drug dealers now.
Elluin is definitely interested in it. So he'll gladly like walk over to Lord Spindle, and I'm imagining Elluin probably has his like own pipe that's like very like ornate since he's a noble.
I don't know. The energies here don't feel the same as in the Tangle. In the Tangle.
Well, Dimico, think of it this way. This place is about as old as that, and what you brought here is what will be soon suffusing this place. what can it hurt after all? And Aygir probably had a foot ahead to start walking, like as soon as on a spindle stopped talking, because there's bound to be some cooler, older stuff back there.
Yeah, Aygir and Elluin are like, yeah, let's get on with this. That's interesting.
Vapor is gonna look to Dimico and you're always welcome to join us. I probably won't be smoking whatever they are.
Look at Vapor being the role model for the kids out there.
Well, no, I've already said that he's tried it before and he doesn't like it.
Yeah, Dimico would think about it and he'd be like, well, I guess my god would want me to try new experiences. Not that he's probably tried it before, but I mean, he wouldn't do it like this. However, this guy is smoking it is a different process.
Is your god a being like a mutapod being?
So we haven't. I thought we got into this, but apparently you forgot. Okay, kind of like he interchanges God with parent. The word means almost the same to him, because that is who he thinks of as his mother / parent. So,
okay. So yeah, again, we can develop these things later.
I've left it intentionally vague because it's not to be revealed yet, if you know what I mean.
That's fine. A lot of things are still to be filled in the blank. For those that are watching, the world of MIRRORMOURN, the gods are a bit different. There's no like standard pantheon, and the gods are not like these high, mighty gods. They're usually small, local gods, and they can be a variety of different types of beings. So you all make your way across the tower hall, and the first thing you see coming out of the haze is this big, tall, standing, glassy spire, and then you see that it has this bulbous bottom part and hoses coming. Yeah, hoses coming off of it, and there's Spindle, and he's sitting in a throne. He's so there's an actual giant's throne. But it's too big for him. So what he's done is it's been mocked up to where there are these stairs that he can kind of walk up onto the seat and perch on the seat. And so he's perched there, and the back of this thing is a number of feet behind him, and it rises up, when 25 feet tall.
When Elluin gets to the scene and sees it, I'm assuming there's places to sit. I'll sit down in a comfortable position and grab one of the hoses for the hookah. I'll look up at Spindle and say, "Always the one for extravagance, I see, Lord Spindle."
That seems to be my lot in life. Who am I to deny it?
I'll nod my head.
Have some candy, young Master Drakestone.
And there at a side table next to the cushion that you're sitting on is indeed a glass basin with candied fruits and honey drops and sugared cherries.
Are they the grandpa candies, the Werther's originals?
Caramelized.
No, they're the other one. They're those strawberry things.
Yeah.
I'll definitely
the lid of it looks like a chicken.
I'll definitely take a handful of the candies, and I'll eat one of them, and then I'll look to Vapor, and I'll say, Vapor, and I'll take a big breath of the hookah.
He hasn't lit it yet. He hasn't lit it.
Oh, he hasn't lit it. Oh, sorry.
Really, you have no experience with this.
I didn't realize he hadn't lit it yet. But I'll look to Vapor then as I eat the candy and say, Vapor, you really should try some of the Grove Sheen.
I have smoked it before, and I did not like it.
To each their own. More for me.
And Spindle plucks out of a pocket on his robe a metallic bowl and wipes it out, fastens it on the top of the hookah, that gingerly puts in some of this powder of the Grove Sheen, and then he puts his hand over it, and a little flame ignites, and he lights it with his hands like that. And then
I look at him and I'm like, why did you light it like that?
Because I'm out of matches.
I mean, why did you light it like that? That wasn't how you light things on fire.
He lets out a long stream of smoke.
Yeah.
You're a warrior. Folk from the Tangle worry about everything.
No.
There's hoses for everyone, and he's busying himself.
Oh, I'll definitely take a good breath from the Grove Sheen, and
I take one of these tubes too, and I just kind of look at it and see a little bit of smoke, and I just puff a little bit. Although a little bit for me is a lot more for someone else.
So it is a lot. When you take a little draw, it's like.
Well, you don't take it into your lungs. You're not supposed to, anyways.
Well, this is Grove Sheen, and he inhales deeply.
That's
and
fine.
There's no charcoal disc. There's nothing. It's just straight. And so you take a little hit, and it like, woo! It's pure. He didn't like put it with a filler or anything. Elluin, Aygir?
Aygir, accustomed to perhaps some slightly stronger step plants, will take it and possibly even attempt to ingratiate himself by blowing the most complex smoke shape he knows how.
Yeah, Elluin,
concentric rings.
Elluin, I would suspect probably smokes it similar to how Spindle does. I feel like I was saying earlier, I feel like he's probably smoked this before, and maybe even on a regular basis if possible. So he probably takes in a big breath, and then just sort of relaxes a bit and say, "Oh, it's always nice to relax with some good Grove Sheen. This is quite good, Dimico."
For the first time since you've arrived, Lord Spindle smiles and a big grin spreads across his face.
This is some of the best I've ever had. Beautiful. Beauty. Yes, the lights. And what were we talking about? Well, this is not a time for glee. Unfortunately, this is a time pointing the what do you call the end of the hose? The
mouthpiece?
The mouthpiece.
The spigot? I don't know.
The mouthpiece. Pointing the mouthpiece towards Elluin.
Now is the time for vengeance. Yes. But vengeance is a hot sword, freshly pulled from the forge. It is better that you quench, that you strategically go about how you will strike. Your brother was a good man.
I don't have a brother.
Well, no, he was pointing to me.
Yeah, that's fine.
Oh, you still say okay.
My charisma is the lowest in the party. I guarantee it.
Yeah, I
Elluin, do you have any suspicions as to the Night Stalker?
I'll take another little breath. Say, well, no, I don't think I do actually. I know that there are many people looking for him, including Sir Pin, the master or the master knight of my late brother. Do you have any leads, perhaps? I know that you seem to be mentioning vengeance, and I'll tell you that
That is precisely why I summoned you here. Not that I am minding a fresh packet of fine Grove Sheen.
Gives a nod toward Dimico.
I suspect the Night Stalker is associated with an outlaw gang known as the Crossroaders.
Have we heard of this gang before?
Make a history check.
Everyone or just him?
Well, anyone who might know about this, you can make the history check. If you don't think it pertains to your character, then don't bother.
Not Dimico. No.
All right. Aygir's been in town for a year. He might know.
Okay.
I got a 7. It's pretty bad.
Aygir does a little bit better. He has a 15.
Unless they have some sort of connection to the place where I'm from. The
No.
yeah, I don't think so.
Okay, Igor got a 15. You might have heard something about them while you were on the way to Barnacle. You haven't heard anything about them in Barnacle.
Right.
Vague something or another. They typically layer in the lattice, but they have come recently to Barnacle. I have learned this, and my little friend did a bit of information gathering for me.
Your little friend?
Yes, he's about here somewhere. The lattice is a place that he mentioned. So if you leave Barnacle, Barnacle's on its own really sub-island. If you leave Barnacle, you can get to the main island of Haven Isle. And the main island is way, way bigger. And there's a couple ways to get there. There's the tether, or you can take a boat. And up a ways in the main island is a farmstead area that produce a lot of the grain and the meats and stuff for the realm. And then north of the fields, it's like this grassland of this really high, super thick, dense, strong grass called fort grass. And there are these old roadways called the lattice. And they seem chaotic in a way. It's not what you would think of that someone would have made them for trade or to, practical utilitarian purpose of connecting one settlement to another. It is this webbing crisscross of roads, and there's even high roads and low roads and mysteriousness. So we can, again, fill in world building with that later. So yeah, apparently the crossroaders layer in the lattice. That is what Conus Spindle is suspecting or telling you about here.
And what
I have learned they recently came to Barnacle, and they are hiding out in the Crumble.
What would they have to do with a Night Stalker? Why would you suspect common thugs to be serially murdering?
Yes, I must agree with Aygir. It does sound a bit strange, Spindle.
It might be that the Night Stalker is a member of their gang, or they intend to induct him in, and his bloody spree is a passage of sorts, an initiation. I unfortunately cannot give you any more specifics, only what was gleaned by my little friend.
Now, it sounds like he's telling the truth, right? And then that he's saying all he knows on this, right?
Make an insight check.
All right. Ooh, first of all, characters with them low rolls. Ooh, that's actually not bad. That's a 19. That's not bad at all.
Elluin, I should point out,
Seems to
Elluin
be
probably
telling you the truth as far as you can tell.
And also, Aygir, when he hears that, says again, so, little friend?
Dunka. It appears there is a section of the crumble that was discovered recently by some lowly sorts. This is not public knowledge. The crossroaders are layering there. I would not recommend you go there directly. It could involve great danger. Dunka has found another way, a possible rear entrance into this layer.
Well, we must. I'll sort of get a little bit more excited in a way. I say, well, then we must make haste. We must go. My brother has been killed. We need to have vengeance. We need to bring these gangsters to justice, especially the Night Killer.
Hold Kirsina there a little bit. Hold Kirsina. I do not know about the rest of you, but I need to go back home first. I am not exactly dressed for this occasion, if we have to go digging around in the crumble.
You will want to go prepared and be cautious where you step. In fact, if you would temper your boiling blood, young Master Drakestone, it might be best to first glean information before you engage in a battle or a duel.
Perhaps you're right, Spindle. I simply want to get the job done as soon as possible. I do not like waiting in the wings while this killer is at large.
No one is comfortable with him lurking about at night. He has claimed 5 victims. At this point, everyone will be shuttering themselves in. I realize Barnacle cannot operate if everyone was as I am.
I'll look at Dimico, Vapor, and Aygir, sort of like glancing at them and say, we've known each other for a while. I don't know if I have anyone else that I could trust with this information, especially if it's not public at the moment. Would you assist me in this?
Well, now I noticed you collected those coins for what Dimico had produced. Are those going to go to their intended destination?
Oh, yes, of course. I apologize. We got sidetracked with smoking here. And I'll pull out the coins and I'll start distributing them fairly to us. I assume that we split it like all 4 ways with the 250. I don't know exactly how we would do that, Esper. Like what are?
Seems to me a rich boy has enough coin.
Well, yeah, that's why I was asking. Like, I didn't know like exactly how much it was supposed to go to Dimico.
I think that would be more a question for you all. Not least of which Dimico, who he and some Firbolgs that he know produced it.
Yeah. Okay. Then I will.
Great effort.
Okay, I was just curious if there was already a set price. In that case, then I'll look at all of them and say, well, what do you all think is fair for this exchange? Of course, so, I should probably get the least, I presume, since I'm not even the one who initiated the deal, nor am I the one who grew the weeds.
So if Aygir had like drawn up terms beforehand, what he probably would do is that that he would take basically the whole lot and set a certain amount aside for Dimico and the other Firbolgs, though they don't really use coins much, just to pay for any like to go into like a toll fund for when they need to enter the city, and then some to Vapor just because he likes him, and then maybe a token amount to Elluin since Elluin's the middleman. And
Dimico doesn't want any of the money. That can all go to his other Firbolgs, whatever his share is.
Well, right. That's what Aygir would be doing. He'd be just basically, like, hey, you need these coins. I know you don't want these, but you might need these for a total.
Yeah, Dimico doesn't care. Just donate it to the community.
So perhaps it seems like maybe what we could do, since there's 250, maybe like 125 goes to Aygir, and then like, well, maybe even more. I don't know. I'm trying to think of numbers here, like sort of out of the game scene. It does seem like the least should go to Elluin again, since like he didn't grow it and he was kind of the middleman anyway. So maybe like, let me think. So there's 250. If 150 went to you, and then another 50 went to Vapor and myself, since Vapor sort of connected us.
Then that leaves 50 left over.
No, because 150 and then 50-50.
Oh, 50 and 50. Sorry, I thought you meant 50 between the two of you. Okay.
So basically, he's suggesting we get 75 between the two of us, and they get 50 between the two of them.
Yeah.
Or if you truly don't want, if Dimico truly doesn't want any of the coins, then Aygir will keep 100 and then set aside 50 as. This is to help my Firbolg friends pay
Happy
for
birthday.
Funds.
Happy birthday. Enjoy.
Okay, that works.
Sounds good to me.
So 150 for Aygir, and then 50 for Vapor, and 50 for Elluin.
Yep.
All right. So in that conversation,
Spindle says, I would be keenly interested in what information you could glean by entering the rear passage of the hideout.
yes.
Overhear anything? Take note of what it is exactly they are planning or they are doing. Anything at all.
I would be most interested.
Spindle, if I may be so blunt, perhaps some form of reward, at least for my 3 friends here. I simply want revenge, and I want to bring justice, but...
The rich boy can't pay us himself.
But I'll say it, but I'm sure... But I'm sure that, well, I mean, if I can pay it, I will. I didn't know how that would work with Esper. Like, I didn't know if I had the funds to pay Vapor and...
Yeah, I mean, you still have all the items and money on your character sheet. I'm just using the wealth rank for the, day-to-day living expenses, drinks at the inn, tolls, stuff like that.
Yeah, but anyways, I offer just when I say, perhaps if there's some sort of reward for my friends here, I think they'd be more willing to assist me. I don't distrust them, but I'm sure that they are not seeking out the Night Killer for personal reasons like myself.
I'm fine with assisting you if you need assistance.
Oh, you are? Okay. Oh, fantastic.
The only reward I would like is just to come back to this place and just learn a few more things about the things in here. And he might, maybe pick up some little trinket off a table and look at it.
Do you want to see something very strange?
I was going to be like, why is he saying cool, man? No, something strange.
How strange is strange to you, Mr. Spindle?
Well,
Don't go rummaging around in his pouch again.
If you were of a less sturdy sensibility, it might cause you to faint to the floor.
Now that I have to see.
Come.
He walks over to the other side of the hall, where he has some big, shut, giant cabinets.
Oh.
And he opens up one, and inside is when you first see it, you're like, it's a painting, a giant painting. It's on this big canvas or stretched hide, and it's painted in these reds and crimsons and browns, and it's this painting of like a terrible dread giant lord who is over victorious over a battlefield and has his weapon at his side.
This is a painting of giant artistry on stretched elven skin canvas painted in elven blood.
I go over and I poke it with my finger.
So you mean to say you elves weren't always
an old, hard, crusty textured thing.
Don't poke too hard. You'll rub off the paint.
So I see you elves weren't always the ones in charge here.
There were worse and bloodier times than the current one we find ourselves in, if you would believe it.
Yes, I must agree with Spindle. Although the elves are not very keen on equality, at least it's better than what the giants had.
So you say.
My mother remembers those times. They were not good times.
Never forget that the stones you walk upon are also the bones of those who died to build this world.
And you were at the forefront, Lord Spindle.
For a certain conjuncture in time I was, but that has gone.
Where I come from, every other stone on which you tread could be a mire or a hole into some mucky steam or hot water. I know
a boiling geyser that will blaze up right at your side.
Why do you keep this? I ask him.
He just says one thing, and then he turns away to go back to the throne.
It is all I have left. Sometimes we cling on to things that are unpleasant because, as distasteful and painful as they are, they're at least a part of us.
He plods back to the throne.
Did you lose someone?
My 2 brothers fell in the siege of Aygir. They were finer men than I. Perhaps I only survived because I was not at the forefront in the thickest of the battle.
Dimico, do you see how old he is? I think it's impossible to reach that age without losing everyone.
One cannot see how old someone is. They can see that they're old, but I cannot tell his age just by looking at him.
Well, I have not met an elf as he is. Have you?
I can count on my hands how many I've met by name.
I thought.
I have seen 169 years come and go.
That's a big number.
And you're all the more wiser for it, Lord Spindle.
Do you have the god energy, the astral energy in yourself?
I don't know. But I do know a few tricks.
Such as?
Oh. Some other time I'll show you.
Okay.
Dunka! Dunka, are you here? Heed me, boy! And you hear the sound of wings flapping like that of
Comes the method.
Like that of a bat. And coming to fly and land on the big armrest of the throne is a little thing, maybe 2 feet long at the most, slightly resembles kind of Spindle himself, and it is made out of clay. And everywhere it goes, it seems to like trail a bit of the dust that just coats this whole place. And it has 2 bat-like wings, a little homunculus.
When Aygir sees this, he kind of nods understandingly and says, "Little friend."
I'll flick the. I don't know if homunculus would like this, but I'll flick the homunculus like a piece of candy from the candy that I had.
It grabs it almost like a squirrel or a monkey and begins chewing on it. Dunka,
Go ahead.
I need you to show them the way to that hole you found. Yes, that one. Do be careful. They are larger and louder than you are. Yes, they intend to get a bit of a look at the crossroaders. Are you certain this way leads to their hideout? Very well. He claims that he has heard them merrymaking in some hall, though he has not seen them. This is as close as I can get you. The rest is up to you. It is in a section of the crumble that, until now, it appears none knew contained tunnels and corridors beneath. So the crumble is a ruined section of the old giant castle, and it's a dungeon that's underneath Barnacle. A lot of it has been explored, but as underground mega dungeons go, there's always some wing that was like half collapsed and no one even knew it was there. So apparently there is some like previously undiscovered section, and the crossroaders and some other people have been layering there or hiding out there. And this homunculus of his has found a potential back entrance into this layer.
It's a fun fact that underground mega dungeons are a branch of the same family that includes dungeons that look like faces.
Yes.
Well, thank you, Lord Spindle, for the information, and of course also for sharing your precious grove sheen.
Well, thank you for acquiring it and for rising to the task. I will be most keen at hearing whatever it is that you are able to uncover.
Yes, well, let us hope we come all back here, 4 of us alive.
I do hope. That reminds me. Ah, yes. Here we are. Reaches into a long pocket that hangs down to the bottom of the robe and pulls out two things. One is a potion vial, a healing draught. He's handing it to Elluin.
Oh, yep.
And this, if you need some concealment to escape, throw it to the ground. And he hands you another little kind of vial-looking thing with a cloudy admixture inside.
I'll take it as well. I'll say.
So if you want to write down, potion of healing and smoke bomb.
Smoke bomb and just a normal. How much does it heal for? Or do I know?
The regular common potion of healing.
Which is
2d4 plus 4.
2d4 plus 4?
Yep. And the smoke bomb thing, the effect will be like fog cloud.
And I just throw that one down. Okay, cool.
Yeah, you can throw it, say like 20 feet / 40 feet or something, and the effect works like fog cloud.
I'll take both, and I'll sort of bow my head to Lord Spindle and say, thank you for the gifts, Lord Spindle. I'm sure these will come quite in handy for our mission coming up.
Yes, you are confident. That is good.
I am.
Don't be overconfident. There is danger in the places such as this.
I'm sure that we can all handle ourselves, at least myself, with this blade, and I'll sort of like look down to my blade and say, sure, I can take on any amount of these gangsters that call themselves warriors, or who think of themselves as warriors.
You lack not for spunk, I will give you that. I will rest now and be with my sweet memories. He leans back and just like slides all the way back in the throat. All you can see is just his, his feet sticking out at the end and just like puff of smoke trailing out.
With what I'm imagining are like some like curly toed slippers.
Enjoy the grove sheen, Lord Spindle. We'll be on our way.
So how are we doing on time?
We still got about we've been going for it's not 3 hours yet.
Yeah.
14 minutes or so.
Okay. So I'm hesitant to cut to the dungeon.
This is actually a pretty good stopping point.
Yeah, because Vapor, if we came straight from the funeral, Vapor would not have his gear with him.
Yeah, why don't we just kind of do a little cleanup section, like a little post section to be ready to enter the dungeon next session.
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
I was kind of hoping we would get to the dungeon, but I'm not going to rush anything.
Yeah.
You would have rushed things and it would have felt awkward.
Yeah.
Because we wouldn't have had time to experience the characters.
Agreed. Yeah.
So what will you all do in preparation?
I would and we can I don't know which order we want to go
so
in.
Are we all doing it separately? Or are we going together to different places?
We just go to the bar and get drunk. Clearly, that's how we prepare.
Well, for Elluin, and we can decide who goes first and whatnot, depending on if we do it separately and stuff. Elluin would probably go back to his home and speak with his mother and his younger half brother just about he probably won't tell her exactly what's going on, like why he's exactly where he's going, but saying that like he may be gone for a few days.
Question: when we go to this place, are we leaving the city the same way I came in?
You're not leaving the city. It's the Crumble is a district of Barnacle.
District of Barnacle.
Yeah.
Is there enough time? Like, when were we planning on doing this? Same day? Tomorrow? A week from now?
It's your prerogative.
That's what I'm asking our fearless leader who's not here at the moment.
There does seem to be something of a sense of urgency, right? We don't want the Night Stalker to kill again. Will they stay at this hideout or will they leave it?
I guess that's a kind of important. I did want to
You
go
don't
back
care
and
if another
visit.
elf dies? Whatever.
No. I just wanted to go have a scene with my god to maybe get a little blessing or something that could help me out on my quest.
Okay.
That we're going into.
Well, do you want to do that at the beginning of next
How-
session? That way we can do it justice.
Yeah. How?
Because if we do it now, we're just gonna be paraphrasing it, and that won't.
Yeah.
Be so
No,
good.
I get you. How long does it take to get back to the Tangle? Like time-wise?
Not that long.
Okay.
Hour and a half.
Hour and a half is reasonable. Like it's a amount of time, but back then, I mean, that's just
Maybe to
going
your
out
actual dwelling, 2 or 3 hours.
Oh, so long as they're not planning on doing it right immediately after we leave Spindle's place, we can meet up in the morning. I guess.
I was thinking, yeah, like meeting at first light, probably either in the same place in Strong Castle where we met originally, or maybe just outside the Broken Tower, and then
And where? And how far away is the I forgot the name of it. The dungeon area.
The Crumble. Not far away. Like from the Broken Tower, you'd be there walking in like 15 minutes.
Oh, okay, really close.
Yeah.
That's what I was concerned
The city is not a
about.
huge city, and it's all pretty dense. Unless
Yeah.
you actually get inside of a structure and you like start going through giant halls, that can take you a while. But just like out on the street, going place to place, you can get probably
Realistically,
anywhere in under an hour.
if we were doing this like in real life, we'd probably just go straight to the Crumble after getting essentials like Vapor's equipment. But I kind of want to prepare a little bit, and I feel like I'll be better prepared if I can bring some, even if it's just something like little healing herbs or some blessing, like something cool would be nice to have with us, so we don't just go in there and get messed up.
Just die. Yeah.
We're planning to just walk in and start fighting stuff. We're gonna, play it smart, but
Oh yeah.
you can never account for rolls. Esper might be like, roll spell checks. Oh, you all failed your spell checks. Okay. Well, we're going into initiative.
All right. The kobold attacks you with its spear. Critical hit. Oh, you're dead.
All right.
He's scaring all of us.
all separately going to do our various stuff, and then meeting back where, at the Broken Tower or in Strong Castle? Where
I think Strong Castle.
All right.
Yeah,
At first light.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I would say we would meet first light.
Aygir can separately meet with Dimico before that, so that they can get back into the city together.
Sure. Plus, you have
Assuming
to
Dimico doesn't want to just carry enough money to pay a toll on his.
Well, I was going to say you need to pay the other Firbolgs to donate to the community.
Well,
Because, I mean, what if you die and they never get their money?
Very, very true. So, the rest of Aygir's day then will consist of him going back to his rented dwelling, which, I guess it is one of those barnacles in Klingstead. And he'll go back and basically, sleep as much as needed, but also just gather everything of real importance and value, both personally and professionally in this case. So his antique ceremonial crescent-shaped spade that he keeps around from an old dig, his favorite trinket recovered from an archaeological site, a small golden idol of a saber-tooth-headed humanoid of some sort, and all his whole Dungeoneer's pack full of stuff, as well as his cavalry saber that he already had, but he'll keep it there, and his short bow slung in its sling holster, his hip quiver, and he'll don his armored scaly coat on the outside of his caftan this time, and also the accompanying pauldrons and vambraces and greaves to make the full suit. Put his helmet on and leave as if potentially for the last time to head off to meet Dimico and deliver the coin to the Firbolgs.
Nice.
Hey, Elluin, go raid your family's armory. Your brother had some good shit as a squire, right?
Yeah, I was interested about my brother's
three
sword.
magic weapon. Nice.
Yeah, I was gonna say I was curious about my brother's weapons and swords and stuff, but I was thinking that maybe that could be like a future thing, perhaps. So.
Nah, man, you're gonna die next session. Get it out now.
Yeah, Nick.
The curse.
You need to get them now, so that way we can collect them after you die and sell them down the line.
Yeah, my first 2 characters always have to die the first 2 sessions, and then my last 2 characters are the only survivors at the end of the game. That's just how it's going to be forever.
Exactly.
So,
and we have to sell all the magical items that your first 2 characters
next
want.
Session with a scene of Dimico communing with his goddess, his goddess mother.
Godmother, it's the same word, right? That's how that works. Everyone has one.
I totally forgot something. I was supposed to mention this at the beginning. I'm going to have a Kickstarter launch this week.
That's true.
So I put a link down in the video description. You can go and see like the pre-launch. It just allows you to follow it. And then the whole thing will go live. And I'll have videos. I'll have new videos this week. I'll even have a new ranking this week. I have the Constructs ranking coming this week.
Nice.
So I'll probably upload it on Thursday. It's basically done. I just need to put in 2 images from my Kickstarter and it's done.
Yeah. Very nice.
So check that out. And I'm really stoked to start revealing stuff from that very, very soon.
So what level of the Kickstarter do I need to get so I can get myself that legendary magic item from your new book?
That is the
D&D has now become pay to win.
Oh my god. Yeah. The $10,000 tier god character, your character.
All right, I'll send you 10 of my paychecks.
All,
they just go
all
straight
characters in Esper's campaigns automatically begin with a legendary item.
Exactly.
A ring of wishes, 2 extra levels.
I come in
I feel dirty just saying that.
Yeah, no, Dimico comes back from communing with his god, and he's gained 5 levels. He
actually becomes the god.
Yeah, I'm just hey guys, my voice gets all deep. Let's take care of these goblins now. Wait, there aren't goblins? All right, whatever.
There are bandits? What do you mean bandits? These are cultists that worship me now. Thank you guys for playing. A great first session.
I think this was a great first session. I'm really looking forward to seeing how this develops.
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed how we all sort of got to do some role play with each other and with other characters. We got to sort of build the world a little bit. We got to interact with each other. It was great.
I just want to comment on a t-shirt.
That might be a thing. Let's see. That could be a thing. I do intend to have t-shirts sooner or later.
Nice. Well,
we could also have the open up t-shirt.
Yes, I was gonna say open up needs to be a t-shirt.
Yeah, for those to be the introductory 3 t-shirts, May Your Adventures Be Many, open up.
Oh, and there needs to be something. There should be something in reference to the 2 sessions of death.
What we need a Discord open up little one of those things,
reaction.
Yeah, whatever those little things are.
Anyway, maybe we should talk about this where we're not just talking some people in the live stream's ear off about it.
All right, everybody. Thank you very much for watching. Look forward to the next session here in 2 weeks. See you then. Have a good night.
Indeed. Let's go on some mirrors.